Okie dokie. Hey, it's Sunday, it is 2 o'clock and it is time for the Sunday service. If you have not already joined us, happy Mother's Day. I know it's Mother's Day, I know. You should have gone to see your mammy, you could be seeing the mother of your children. Whatever it is, I hope you're having a lovely Sunday afternoon. It is 2 o'clock, we're here for the next 2 hours to talk about, well, it's just about 2 o'clock, it's actually a couple of minutes early. And for those who haven't caught up, we actually did go forward by 1 hour last night. And so, it's not 1 o'clock in your head. It is 1 o'clock in your head. It's 2 o'clock in the day, but it's 1 o'clock in your head. So we're all kind of an hour behind, a bit dreary today. Kind of a grey sky here in Portlaoise. But other than that, it's been pretty dry today. We'll have a little walk earlier on, and now we're back from that. But for the next 2 hours, I hope to keep you company and keep you active and keep you thinking about the lovely car world. I have been insanely busy the last couple of weeks. A huge amount of travel. Last Sunday evening, I actually left Ireland to go to Athens in Greece, and I only came back from that on Wednesday evening. And that video from the Range Rover Evoque, which is a film, I promise you, is 10 minutes of glorious, daring, weird crap that I do in a Range Rover Evoque, will be out tomorrow at 11 o'clock. So that will be the next one out on the channel. And then it's going to be closely followed by a Ford Mustang video. I have so many videos. Also next week I will be in Croatia. Oh, I'd love to thank everybody I met in Greece. God almighty, there were so many people that I ran into in Greece that watched the channel, and it was really cool in Athens, a city of 5.5 million people. And I was stopped regularly in the streets. So thank you very much for the whole of the Greek population for watching the Sunday service and watching all of the channel. It's brilliant. So thank you very much. This Tuesday and Wednesday, I can't remember, one of those 2 days I'll be in Croatia to test a new Skoda Scala. So I'm going to give that a pop over there. I think it's only there for just a quick overnight. It's a quick in and out, and then I'm gone again onto another one. So it's going to be a crazy couple of weeks. It has been a crazy couple of months already. It's been absolutely outstanding. It's been great crack. But I really appreciate it if you click the like button when you land on this video. Click it and just make sure you do that, because that just tells YouTube what's going on and whether things are good or not. There's so many of you already asking questions. I think it might be pent up demand. Maybe I should make them shorter and take off a week here and there, just to kind of keep you going. But a huge amount of activity. It's just been absolutely mental trying to get videos out. And there's so many in the backlog. I have to work tomorrow again with the Irish Car of the Year from last year, the winners videos. A camera crew comes and films me talking about those cars. You can find them on caroftheyear.ie, I think it is. That's where the videos are. Or is it Irish Car of the Year? Maybe it's irishcaroftheyear.ie, but one of those channels is out there as well. And a big thank you to Changing Lanes, Caroline, who was my driving partner for the Range Rover Evoque, changinglanes.ie. You can check her out on that video channel. She does videos as well, I think. She was my driving partner for the Range Rover Evoque launch, which was really nice. We spent 2 days humming around Athens and Greece and weird little mountain paths and things with goats for 2 days. It was great crack. Let's just have a quick look at some of the questions. Emily Foley says, hello, Bobby. Have you heard about Bawn Motors in Limerick being shut by cab? Anyway, I lost my €3,000 deposit. I don't know that it's allegedly it's a Limerick dealership. As I put through, I've not seen any dealership particularly named, but possibly your local knowledge would be more than mine. I wasn't keeping an eye on the story. So allegedly Bawn Motors in Limerick being shut by cab. I did see the raid by cab on a premises down there. I saw the pictures and things. It happened, I think, when I was away, but we don't know the detail. I don't have details on it. Obviously, if you give a deposit to any business, not just the car industry, hotels, holiday companies, airlines, as you've seen, Wow Air is now shut as well. Lots of people lose their deposit that way. It is a ferocious thing to happen. It is really bad, and the chances of you getting it back is actually quite low from any company, because they have bigger debtors than you, and you are usually just a small fish in among them. But keep an eye on the story, watch how it develops. You don't know how these motors turn out. It looks like a big outfit down there. Bawn Motors is the one that I think of, but I don't have details, so I can't really answer that one. Emily, no. Marcus Hogan, hi Bob, on time this weekend, no rowing till later, so I'm up for Sunday service education. Good man, Marcus, it's great to have you aboard. Darren Cavan is here. George Websdale has landed as well. Happy Mother's Day to you too. I have it written behind me, you see, just in case you all forget. Happy Mother's Day. And for those of you who just woke up and went, my God, it's Mother's Day, what do I do? Bunch of flowers, some a pack of chocolate or something, and a nice hello, mammy, and go visit them. For God's sake, go and visit your mother. James is in the house. Niall Burke, Eric Rochford, Derek Norris, Paula Grady, and Ray Grace says, Bob, how do you think diesel prices will rise by how much in the new carbon taxes in the next budget? I foresee that you are going to find out that diesel and petrol become the same price at pumps. It is really kind of gently coaxing along and happening around the edges of it. I think that's going to happen. I tell you what's going to happen is they're going to change the bands on the motor tax to bring people who are in like tax band A will end up in A1. You know what I mean? They'll just push them out a little bit further, making it less and less attractive to have a high CO2 car. They literally want you, the government right now wants you out of a car if it has an ICE engine. They want you out of it. They don't want you in it, they don't want you near it, they don't even want you to start it. It's pure poison, according to the government. According to the knowledgeable people who lobby the government on a regular occasion, ICE engines are just dangerous, when in actual fact there's a load of horse manure. You'll see it tomorrow in my Land Rover Range Rover video. I sought out a huge amount of information from them as to what their future is, what they foresee the future of diesel and petrol is, and there is clips in there dedicated to staff of Range Rover Land Rover talking about the future of what they're going to do with diesel engines, and it's going nowhere. I promise you, for the next 30 years, diesel can go nowhere. It is so clean now, it's gone beyond clean. The NOx and CO2 emissions are down so low. It's ridiculous to even think about this. But carbon taxes, we as a country are being fined by the EU because we're not meeting our carbon emission targets. The problem is the people who are driving a clean diesel are shifting over to petrol because they don't see a future in diesel, and petrol is actually higher CO2 than diesel. So that doesn't work. And electric cars aren't quite there yet. There isn't enough of a selection to cover all the bases, so people aren't making that choice. And then the range keeps going up in electric. There's just an awful lot of stuff around the edges of it that can be very, very weird. So advice is right now, stick with what you got. Wait till 2020. What's the hurry? Don't change that just yet. You're no fear of getting rid of your diesel or petrol cars for the next 5 to 10 years. I don't understand why the people of Ireland aren't out in the street revolting at every time that a tax changes or the way that they work. Because it's a ridiculous situation we're in here in Ireland and England. England's been driven out of them as well. There's no doubt in my mind they are definitely trying to get rid of them off the road across EU before the court cases start about lung cancer. That'll probably happen. Emily asked that question again. No, she didn't. Anyway, I lost my $3,000 deposit. I need a 7-seater petrol for 9k now, 2012 onwards, low tax. Any ideas? Why do you need a petrol one? Why would you get a 7-seater petrol? The only ones, 2012 onwards, the only ones that be in that kind of range for 7 seats, the Ford Galaxy, the Opel Zafira, the Hyundai, what's that thing called? It has 7 seats. I can't think what it's called. There's another Hyundai one. Then something like a SsangYong Rodius or something like that, which is an ugly car, but it does have 7 seats. Mazda 5 is 6 seats, sort of. Pretty cool. There's not much, there won't be much out there, Emily, in that price range you're looking at with the $3,000 going off. €9,000 for 2012 onwards is quite an ask. 2012 is not a terribly old car, but petrol will reduce the price of it. But it doesn't know why you want petrol. And low tax and petrol cars don't really go together that well. Darren Fahey, hi Bob. We followed your advice and bought a Prius, and you can keep driving V8s. Good man. You just buy all the Priuses and buy all the Nissan Leafs and things, and I'll keep finding Nissan or Mustangs and things to drive. I'm delighted because you're saving the planet and you're saving the world and you're lowering the CO2 emissions, so I can raise it up another way. It was funny actually, I was on the launch of if you're following along on Instagram, which many thousands of you commented on my videos from Athens on my Instagram page because I was putting up stories, lots of stories from there. But one of the things I noticed, we were all talking about low CO2 cars and low emissions and mild hybrids and all sorts of things were going on, and behind us there was a gas fire in the centre of a circle that was just on, just this flame, a naked flame outside, just heating. It was so stupid. Just like rich people don't understand the difference between where the CO2 comes from. Peter Dolan's here. Zdenko is here. Afternoon. Brian Cullen, afternoon, Bob. The day is going well. Celtic just beat Rangers. Celtic, sorry. I see Celtic, but I mean Celtic. Just beat Rangers at 13 points to clear. I don't know what that means. I'm sure that's some sort of football thing where they chase each other around the field, and some people score a goal every once in a while, or a point, or a basket, or whatever it is that they're playing. I'm not a big sports person, I couldn't tell you. Smurf 2106 says, hi Bob, I have a 2006 Saab 9.3 1.8i petrol and a 2008 Saab 9.3 2-litre turbo petrol. Do you think there could be a future classic or worth keeping? Love the videos. Adrian and Claire Morris. Adrian, the 1.8 petrol I will be. That's an injection engine. If I remember correctly, there's no turbo or supercharger in that engine. The 2-litre got the turbo, and the turbo is prone to go. Both cars will end up being a classic. The higher horsepower one tends to be worth a little bit more on the classic car market. But if you can hang on to them, you're getting close now. You're 14 years old. You know, at 21, they go into classic, tax, and then vintage comes at 31 or something like that. Yes, they definitely will be classic collectors. They're unusual. They won't last forever. They're never been made again. Even if Saab come back in the morning, they won't make the same car again. So it's going to be a definite collector's item in the future. Hold on to it for as long as you possibly can. Delighted to see you all clicking the like button. If you all could, it's great. Get your questions ready. Ask anything you want. It doesn't have to be about cars, but it usually is, unfortunately. Usually is. I don't know, tea or coffee. That's terrible. I came back in such a frantic hurry to try and set this up because we went off for a walk out to the market out in Emo Court. And you would have noticed, well, if you're following on my Instagram, that I posted a little video on Instagram of the amount of bread. People are bringing bread to feed the ducks and the swans, but they get so much bread that's just floating about and making a mess in the lake. They don't like bread anyway. They eat it, but actually it's very bad for them. Yeast in the bread swells up in their guts and kills them. It gives them constipation and everything. So well done on trying to feed the wild animals while you're killing them. Jeff says, I got a donut tire under my SUV. It's a 7-year-old. Dealer can check the pressure in it. They say something is stuck. It has 2 signs on it from a metal mechanism from underneath. Buy a new one. So you have a donut tire under your SUV. It's 7 years old. And the dealer says it's wrecked because it's underneath your car. That happens over time. The ones that are under your car tend to pick up a little bit of damage here and there because things jump up and hit the bottom of your car anyway. If you can get another one, get another one. If you can't, just change the tire on it. What we used to do years ago is when you bought 4 new tires, you find the one tire that you were taking off the car that was still in fairly good shape, and that became your spare. So you just change out your spares. Well, tire degrades. Just standing still, it degrades. It rots over time. Underneath your car, they're not going to last very long, to be honest. It doesn't last even as long as the actual wheels in your car. So it's definitely worth investing at least in a new tire. But if you really have to, invest in a new donut completely underneath the car. Jose 9000 says howdy. How are you, Jose? How are you, Jose? That sounds really Irish, doesn't it? Emily Foley. It's true, all Ball Motors cars gone out and placed shut. Video of Ireland response unit cutting the gates at Ball Motors with angle grinder. Stephen Ball is the owner. It's all allegedly until I get it referenced from the police, the guards, the cab office. I've done a Google search this morning. I don't see their name being mentioned on or how it connects to them on any of the news stories apart from the raid itself was reported. So there must be a court case building. Probably the Criminal Justice Bureau is building some kind of a case around what's happening out there, so it's probably biased the whole case that we start talking about it. But obviously you can see photographs and images of the cab office cutting open the gates of Ball Motors, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily Ball Motors behind the whole thing. So we don't know how it all fits together, but it'll get there in the end. We'll find out in the end. It'll all wash out. Busy couple of weeks. Yes, it has been a massively busy couple of weeks. It's been great fun. I love it though. I love it. It keeps the whole thing moving when I get that busy. I need the petrol as I only drive in a city. My DPF will get clogged with diesel. You're still back 7 seats. You're still going to be in that kind of money. 7 seats is not going to get you a big SUV type. You're still looking at a Ford Galaxy, Opel Zafira, maybe a Volkswagen Charan. They can be pretty expensive. Seat Alhambra. They're all 7-seat cars, but finding one is going to be they weren't terribly popular to buy. There's not many of them out there. Mark Arundel is here. Cross 13 is dropped in. There's our electrical expert. Also, my neighbour wants to go to the UK and get an electric Leaf, but does not know if she can use the UK charger without a card to drive to the ferry. As in Ireland, you need proof of owning an electric. You do, yes, to use the public charge points in the UK. You can buy a pay-as-you-use card in the UK, though. You can just drop into any shop, a bit like a Leap card. You charge it up at £20, £30, whatever it is, and you bip all the way back. As far as I know, you don't need to register to use that one once you buy the actual card, but in the UK, yes, you do need, for some charge points, you do need a charge point card because they're not free over there. It's not free to charge on the street. Electric car, before Electric Ireland sends out a charger card. Electric Ireland charger card should open. The Electric Ireland do have charge points in the UK, so it should open them ones. Brian Cullen says, don't give bread to ducks and swans. It's no use to them. Bring sweet corn. Yeah, sweet corn. Vegetables. They eat things like cabbage and all sorts of nuts, seeds, any of that sort of stuff. They eat all that as well. Just as, actually more than they'll eat bread. Peter Halaz says, hey Bob, how come there's no new Suzuki Jimneys on the road? Because it's not for sale in Ireland. It's sold out in the UK at 800 models or something, and it's sold out. The problem was, we changed to WLTP. Now, Ireland has 2 taxes. So we have VAT, VRT. VRT, as far as I'm concerned, is an illegal tax. It's a tax on the license plate on the car. It is a tax on every single individual option in your car. You pay twice for every single car that comes into the country. It's a phenomenon. We've just gotten used to it. I don't know why Irish people didn't burn down Leinster House because of that VRT. We pay an extortionate amount of money for petrol or for cars here in this country, comparatively speaking, with options included versus other countries. You go down to Spain there and you pass by how much does Seat Leon down there, it's starting at 17 grand. It starts here 23 grand. How the hell does that happen? But anyway, neither here nor there, not my problem. The problem is Suzuki Jimny is not here. I've had a spin in one. It's alright, I have to say. As much as the UK press went wild about it and it sold out, I think it's okay. But it looks deadly. Absolutely deadly. It's not here. It's not even on sale in Ireland. They're not even going to put any in here because it's sold out, number one. Number two, they don't need more sales, but primarily because it'd be bloody expensive here for one, comparatively speaking, to the UK. So they didn't put it on sale. Saab already are back. Not just the Saab, the NEVS 93 is going to reach buyers in China later this year. China is doing humongous work on electric cars at the moment. When China does humongous work on anything, the whole world listens, because by God they can sell and buy things very quickly. Remember, the Chinese don't physically invade countries. They don't come over with their guns and things. What they do is they come in with their money, and they slowly but surely they buy up all the little bits and pieces. Come 2021, between those two, you're going to see electric cars coming directly from China and on sale in Europe. And so much so that I have off the record, I have certain car companies that are very nervous about putting out any electric cars at the moment, because the investment required will just be killed by the Chinese when they come. Anyway, Brian Cullen says, peas, oats, seeds. Oats are great. Buy a big pack of porridge oats in Aldi for like a couple of quid. And go out there and feed every animal in the place. All the little birds, big birds, every rat and every mouse, every animal in the world eats oats. So just remember that. Eric Crotcher says, Busy Mandy, says Bob, yep, love the Instagram stories and your travels. I still think of a second non-car channel, or just focus on this one. I don't have time for a second non-car channel at the moment, but I'd love to. I'm doing another little couple of videos with Paul McGann over the next while. And we're also going to do maybe the run gear is coming back as well. It's about running and about motivating older men, I'm not old, but men more my age, who want to learn how to run, how to keep fit, how to get motivated to do that sort of stuff. So that will be coming, or partially coming on the way as well, which gives another channel. The thing is, at this stage I need help when it comes to the channel itself, to actually run the channel. Maybe an editor, I don't know, but I don't know how someone fits in with the whole thing. But at the moment, I'm watching other channels who have 2 and 3 and 4 people working for them directly, and they can't compete with what I do. They can't catch me. So I reckon if I had 2 people working for me on the channel, I think we'd take off very quickly, very, very quickly, and become very successful very fast. I don't know, maybe. Brian O'Connell says, what do you think of Toyota Camry Hybrid? It's an import, saw good views for sale in Ireland. It's an import. You saw an import of a Toyota Camry Hybrid. Well, Toyota are selling the new Camry in Ireland as well. It is in dealerships, but I haven't driven it. It is on the way on my press fleet. I have booked into one, but reports are good so far from people that I trust to review cars, are telling me that it's actually a pretty good car. So we'll see. But now the problem is it's a hybrid. And I think if you can actually get the best from a hybrid, I think you can probably get pretty good from an electric car as well, So, but I do find hybrids, if you drive them a certain way, hybrids are desperately fuel efficient. They really are, but it's only in certain circumstances, not everywhere. Most of the time, a hybrid can be really fuel efficient. The Land Rovers that I was driving recently, the new Evoque, are all mild hybrids, and they're really fuel efficient. That diesel engine used no fuel, basically. Vegetables, yes, Bob, spot on. Yeah, you can bring your leftover stuff, things you would throw in the compost bin. Most of the time animals will eat those too. Not eggshells, not cooked food, preferably not hot food either. Don't give animals hot food, not a good idea. Let everything cool down. But if you've leftover carrots or peas or cabbage or anything, they're vegans. Ducks, they're vegans, right? So just think of what a vegan eats, and then you can feed a duck pretty much. They'll eat anything. Peas is another good one. Sweet corn is another good one. So stop bringing bread. I was just out this morning in Emo Court. When we walked up to the side of the lake, it was floating in white sliced pan. It's really bad for ducks, and they're not even eating it anymore because they're sick of it. So anyway, Brian Detrick says, buy Leaf and use electric highway all the way to Holyhead. No bother, no brainer. The electric highway app will build your credit card. Now, there's an interesting thing. So an app that can build your credit card. Obviously, you have to give your credit card information over to the app for to use. So, think about your privacy on that one. But it sounds like a good idea. It'd be good. Would it be good if Apple Pay, the pay thing that's on your phone, if that could be used for paying for electricity? That'd be really handy. Since Apple want to be on electric cars anyway. That'd be neat. I forgot to mention, while the Nevs 9.3 looks like the old 9.3, it's also electric. Shame it looks like the old 9.3 though. It's a bit out of date now. It'd be nicer if it looked like a really modern car. Colin Foley. Hi Bob, would you replace a 2011 135,000 mile diesel Ford Focus, running perfect and just passes NCT? Sit tight and hold on for another 2 years. I would actually... Colin, you're not going to lose any more on that car. It's a 2011, in 2 years, as long as your mileage stays somewhere in the region of 150,000 miles in the next year or so, you're probably not going to lose a whole lot more on it. But now, if you have a hankering, that hankering that people get sometimes, you just have to have a new car. If you have the hankering, now is probably a good time to do it, because that mileage is just going to go one way. It's just going to go up. But at 2011 and it's passing NCT, if it's in good condition and you're still enjoying driving it, there's no reason to be throwing it out with the scrap heap and to get into a brand new car. Because such a selection of cars coming in 2020 that is way bigger. The stuff I'm seeing, the stuff I'm swamped in the whole time, and I know it's coming. There's so much of it going to come in 2020 that, right now is probably not the best time to change your car. You'll have such a plethora of things to choose from. And this will be from like November this year. You'll see the press releases coming out and you'll see the cars starting to appear. And there's so many changes coming as well with WLTP, which is definitely going to change the price of cars again come this September. So prices of cars are going up. So if you're really price conscious, now is a good time to buy a car. If you're not, hold on till 2020. Emily Foley says, what age are you, Bob? I'm actually 47. Literally had my birthday recently, so I'm not terribly old. But when I was a young person, when I was 18, 19, 20, someone nearly 50 was old. So that's how that worked. But I don't feel it. I feel probably, about 17 in my head. Somewhere around there. Zdenko says, hi, Bob. Do you know, is a fast charging CCS network being upgraded to 100 kilowatt in Ireland as it is from ESB or Ionity? Thanks. There are plans to upgrade it. 100 kilowatt is that's double what we have now, right? So that's double most of the fast charge points in Ireland right now. The reason you would upgrade to 100 kilowatts is to charge faster. That's the only purpose. So to charge faster, there has to be a commercial reason behind it. So what I'm getting at is, the promise of electric cars has been promised for 9 years now, right? The amount of cars on the road. It still hasn't materialized. It's only 2% of the market. It's still a very tiny little niche segment. And now if they bring in payment for fast charging, you'll find less people will be enticed to use a fast charger and to start charging at home. Now, what's the commercial interest for putting in faster and faster and faster charges if less and less and less people are actually going to use them? But that's not to say that we won't be driving it on. I recently seen a report come in from Porsche, who was showing us, I don't know what wattage the thing charges, but it can charge an electric Porsche to full in 3 minutes. So that's really shoving the electricity through the pipework very quickly. It's all down to the thickness of the wires, and there's all kinds of things going on. But there is plans definitely to upgrade certain parts of the network to a faster charge, but the commercial aspect will be looked at as well, including Ionity and including ESB, who will all be looking at their commercial interests and how many cars will actually use the network, because not like every car, it's going to take another 10-15 years, maybe longer, to actually get that electric car amount up to 10 or 15% of the market. That may seem like a long time, but there's not a lot of money around, guys. Car sales are falling. They're only going one way. Even with the electric car sales rising, we still have falling sales. And that's down to lack of cash. People just don't have the cash, and people aren't investing in cars. They're going off and they're having experiences. So they're going to France or Germany or whatever and having weekends away, and they're not saving their money like they used to, saving up for a car. They're just not doing it. They want to live closer to their jobs. Humans are vegans too, but that hasn't stopped us en masse. That's true. Almost every animal, except for us little humans, tends to go after one particular kind of food, and they tend to eat that, which is why the whole world isn't covered in koalas, because they only eat eucalyptus plants, and you only get that in Australia. That's why they're specialists. We're not. We can eat pretty much anything and survive. As long as you don't eat too much of one thing, you should be fine. Men, you got to cut down on the old meats. Seriously. Make you feel better too. Brian Cullen, Bob, brilliant advice. Ducks, we should all be kinder to our precious wildlife. One minor thing, ducks aren't vegan, they eat fish. That's true. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, but if you're bringing something, you're not going to bring fish to a duck to let it eat fish. Unless you're going to bring sardines, I suppose it might. But the oils probably won't do them any good. So if you're bringing anything, just think vegan and bring along your veg and your leftovers, bits and pieces. Just don't bring bread or processed foods in general. If it's got a lot of processing done to it, it's probably not good for animals. But if we all try and share the little space with the animals we have, the bees and the birds and all them sort of stuff out there, the world will be a better place, I promise you. A much better place. Remember, if you put a little @ symbol in front of what you're saying, you're talking to that person, and I don't read it out. So if you intend me to read it out, don't put the @ thing in front of it. Emily Foley says, is 66,000 miles on a 2015 Leaf a lot? It still has 11 bars out of 12 for the sale, and then making 15k pricey. Wow, 15k. 11 out of 12 bars wouldn't be something I'd be happy with, now, to be honest with you. I would hope that a 2015 car would be able to go its maximum range. This is the problem I have. I have a 13-year-old car, and it's able to go as far as it did when I bought it new. That hasn't changed in the least. It could do about 500 miles or 600 miles on tank of fuel. It can still do that, and it's 13 years old. That's a 4-year-old 5-year-old car, and it's already losing some of its battery connectivity. This is a problem I have with batteries. I know everyone's going to shout at me in a minute, but it's still, God almighty, it hurts. But 66,000 miles is not a incredible amount. It's not a huge amount. It's like 10,000 to 15,000 kilometers a year would be absolutely standard fare stuff. 20,000 kilometers a year is pretty normal. 30,000 kilometers a year, and you're starting to get that's starting to get into high mileage and stuff. And then 40,000 and above is like incredibly high mileage. So 66,000 miles over 4 years is not that bad. It's a little bit above average, I'd say. Probably it might have been used as a taxi for a short period of time, or maybe for 1 year out of those 4 years. But it's you were looking for a 7-seat petrol car a minute ago, and Leaf definitely hasn't got 7 seats, I promise you. Mark Howells Prescott says, good afternoon and happy Mother's Day to everyone. Have a internet connection and type in the ChargePoint ID. Oh no, sorry, I'm reading now. Someone else just jump forward. Happy Mother's Day to everyone that is mother. I hope you're all doing well. Best regards from the Maldives. Oh, you dirty. I don't want to know, Mark. I don't want to know even why you're in the Maldives. I just don't mention the Maldives again. Or just send us a picture. Send us a picture, actually. Sure, why not? Well, I'm very happy for you to be in the Maldives. Hopefully you're actually enjoying yourself down there and not working. As I always get in my videos, someone go, tough day on the job, Bob, you're in Greece or whatever. Yeah, that's because my job. That's what I do. Bob, you're big in the Maldives, says Brian Cullen. There you go. The Sunday service word is out everywhere. I met some brilliant people in Greece, in Athens. We were walking around like tourists on Monday because we were there a day early, so we went off down to the city. And we're walking around like these absolute lunatics. You see a picture of me actually in the stadium, standing up on the podium thing. But these a group of guys came up from one side street. One guy, this is Bob from the next year, or from YouTube, and we ended up talking about cars and the stuff that's in Greece, just sitting on the side of the road. Oh my God, it's so lovely. There's no new cars. There's basically no new cars in Greece because there's no money. They cost a bloody fortune as well. Brian says, great job, Bob, on your before the MotoGP and F1 today. I wonder if it's an hour change. Yeah, it's the hour change because they don't change the hours. That's another thing that's going to happen here. We're going to change, we voted on changing this idea of going forward for spring forward and fall back. This hour change thing, we voted to get rid of it, and so it should be gotten rid of. I think we should stick with summertime. It's fine, it works well. It's just nonsense to change this hour back and forward. But I see politicians going, but what if the UK doesn't change its hour? I don't care. We voted. We want it changed. We should change it. It's good. Let it off. Jose 9000. Hey Bob, do you know why Apple CarPlay would need an activation key to enable a function just to make it work when you take ownership of a car? Do you need to go back to the dealer now? I hope he's no charge. Depends on the car, Jose. I've never come across that. All the press cars I've ever had, I just plug in my phone and it goes, do you want to use Apple CarPlay? And you go, yeah, okay, Apple CarPlay. Now, I know BMW came up with an idea that they were going to charge a subscription system that would allow you to use CarPlay in the US, but I didn't see that anywhere else. You shouldn't need an activation key to enable Apple CarPlay function in your car. It should come as standard. If it comes with Apple CarPlay, it should be as standard in your car. The actual CarPlay service is supplied by Apple, not by the car companies. The car companies do need to put in a piece of hardware and a piece of software into the system that allows CarPlay and Android to operate, but it should be there by standard. I mean, you can go up to Halfords and buy a bloody stereo off the shelf that has Apple CarPlay with it. It's easy. I mean, it's 200 quid. That's it, done. Robert Tullock says, am I better off to run a Golf GTI or wait for the Mark 8 later this year? Am I better to run off Golf? The run off Golf GTI right now, the one is finishing up. It's not finished, but it's finishing up, and we're getting a new one later on. Is a phenomenal piece of kit. It is just a brilliant car. The whole Golf, the whole ethos of the Golf is brilliant. It's a 5-door hatch, proper boot, proper backseat, decent fuel economy. You can get in a decent little DSG, lovely interior. You'll never be sick of it. We don't know what the Mark 8 is going to be. We don't know what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to stray too far from that apple tree that they've built there with the normal one. I would buy a Golf GTI standard, fairly standard, manual as well even. I wouldn't even worry too much about DSG. The current model, you'll get a good deal on it because it's coming to an end. And if you don't get a good deal, walk on. Or in the words of Sean from, I think Sean the Dead, he said, jog on. It's brilliant. Just go. Wizard Dunn has joined us. Hi Bob, I purchased a new 40 kilowatt Leaf last year. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me, so I purchased a petrol car. We're a long way off electric cars regarding infrastructure. And I have heard that story repeated to me multiple times since the electric car thing really has started out. I found multiple individuals who bought in an electric car because they were talked into it by their friends or the family, or the idea of it, or whatever's in their mind that makes it seem like a good idea, until the actual practice of it, until you actually get behind the wheel and start driving. You go, this is deadly, but I'm running out of electricity. And it's this mind shift. If your mind doesn't shift, forget about it. You're never going to get the best from an electric car unless you get that mind shift on. Some people can make the transition very easily. Other people find it very hard. It took me maybe a couple of weeks of electric cars, one after the other, to realise their limits, my limits of patience, how long I'm willing to wait, and how much effort I'm willing to put in. I do find the whole idea of searching for electric charge points everywhere you go is a pain in the hole. It really is. I'd rather just drive. I have the BMW X5 this week, 3 litre diesel, very low CO2, very low NOx, 1,000 kilometres from a tank, give or take. Now it's an 80 litre tank, but 1,000 kilometres. You know, that makes a big difference of knowing that I can drive for 1,000 kilometres. 1,000 kilometres from here to Poland. Like, you know, I could drive nearly to Russia and not bother putting fuel in it. Zedenko says, it's a long time since I was in a small city car. I was back when I was young, flexible, and 40 kilograms lighter. I wonder what the days of my city cars are big enough for somebody like me today. They are still. They're big interiors. The VW Up is a lovely car, very big car. Inside, bigger than it looks like that TARDIS feel. A couple of months' time, I'm going over to Oxford, I think, or Liverpool, to drive the special anniversary of the Mini. I think it's 60 years old. So I'm going over there to do that. It's going to be a road trip, yuck. Get on my Instagram. Honest to God, the road trip is going to be great crack. There'll be at least 2 of us in a car. We're going to drive from Heathrow to Oxford to Liverpool, over to the ferry to Dublin to home. Massive road trip style. So only one night overnight. So and I'm going to make a film of that as well. That's coming on the YouTube channel. So many bloody videos. I'm going on to Morocco as well to drive What am I driving on there? Ford something or other. A Raptor, I think. That's coming up too. So there's loads and loads and loads of things to be subscribing for. Including, don't forget, head over to Instagram for the spit things. I've never been to Croatia before, so this would be good to go. First time ever. If you're from Croatia, you'll find me in Spit. Look out for Skodas, a little group of Skodas driving around the town. I'll be one of them. It's a long time since small city car one. Emily Foley says the Leaf is for my neighbour who is here with me. The Leaf is for sale in Limerick Motor Centre, and it's the SV, not the SVE. They were only giving her $4,500 for a 2011 Ford Focus Titanium new model, 100,000 miles. See, $4,500. You see, they're ripping you off there in the middle of that. That's very. I'd sell that Ford Focus myself. It's a 2011 though, so you're not going to make much more than $4,500 out. You're going to maybe make $5,000 on a straight sale. Now, the drawback here is that suitable for the driver? A Leaf is a commitment if it's not the very long range one. I mean, the newest one. Newest one is a decent range in it. The one previous to that hasn't got as much of a range in it. So unless you can make it work, you're going to have to work at this. You're going to have to get a charge point in. You have to do all that stuff. My advice to you is find someone who's giving out an electric car for the weekend for a spin. A lot of dealerships will do this to you. Get a go on it. See how you like it. Learn to live with it. It's an awful pain in the hole having to come back to an electric car and sell it back to them. I think we should match CET time zone. The Spanish are directly south and use CET. I think that would probably make sense for us as well. We are directly lined up with Portugal currently. Lisbon and Portugal is on the same time as us, and go right down through Africa. They're on the same time as us. So there's a good case for us not to be in this. GMT is gone. Like nobody measures by GMT anymore. Now it's Central European time now. And we are -1 on Central European time. And when I was in Greece, they are +2. So they're 2 hours ahead of us, but only 1 hour ahead of Central European time. It starts to make sense when you start to think of it that way and get away from Greenwich Mean Time, which is where it used to be, the Greenwich Atomic Clock and all that. None of that's being used anymore, really. So we should line up with what makes sense for us in Europe as Europeans go, because that's the only way to make sense of this, because we're not English, we're Europeans. We're Irish first, and then we're Europeans. Anyway, not to get all jingoistic about it or anything, God forbid you offend anybody. Joe Lyons comes as standard. Them's words that in all Audi and BMW owners will never hear. You got about that, Joe. I had an Audi Q8 recently, and the options on the Audi Q8 that I was driving, just the list of options, would have bought you a Volkswagen Golf. No, same price. It's crazy to think that the optional extras on a car would get you another car entirely, and this is happening quite regularly now because WLTP is pulling options away, so it's quite hard to get those options done in the first place. It's not really car companies' fault as such. It's WLTP. It's taxes in this country. It's absolutely crazy taxes stuff that we have here, and we really should be looking at VRT consistently, and the SIMI are to blame really for supporting VRT all this time and never really trying to get the thing back out again, trying to do something for the consumer, because they're not for the consumer, they're a business. Justin Owen says, hi Bob, love the show, thanks. Have a Mazda RX-8, great car, brilliant car, 2006. Would expect them to increase in price to become a modern classic. Yes and no. There is a thing about those. They have, I get to say it on the Sunday service, right? Prepare yourselves, put your headphones on, listen to this, I'm going to say it. A Wankel engine. They have a Wankel engine. I got to say a Wankel, which is good, but it's a rotary engine made by Mr. Wankel. Anyway, the idea is that it doesn't really have pistons. It has rings on the inside. The rings are sort of they look a little bit like triangles. They're not triangles. There's a name for trapezoid or something like that. But they go around in a funny way, which means they have very high torque, a very high compression ratio. But that also takes quite a toll on the engine. So technically they're a 1.3. Actually, if you actually measured the displacement of those engines, they're more like 2 litre. But anyway, they were taxed as a 1.3. They could rev infinitely, and they're rear-wheel drive and have suicide doors in the back. A brilliant car. They are definitely going to be worth a bloody fortune. The downside is, everyone knows those engines are troublesome. They're so troublesome that there's a bottle of Castrol GTX in the boot with a tube sticking out the top of it, just to feed the engine some oil. They tend to blow blue smoke over the years. You'll often find some RX-8 owners will talk about how many engines they've replaced since they got their RX-8. So it's definitely going to go up in price, but only if you mind. If you get a good, clean one in the future, that is going to be worth double its price at some point, because they are all blown up, or they're all drift cars, or they're all destroyed in some or another. So there's very few of them actually left, and very few that are honest and on the road ever since. So it will definitely be a collector's item for sure, Justin. But just if you're considering buying one for yourself, which they are out there, and you can get them, just be prepared. You are going to have to mind that thing, and it is not fuel efficient. It really isn't. They do gobble juice on a motorway and stuff, and it hurts. Your fans love this view. Oh my god, what's this about? Your fans love this video. It hit 100,000 views. Posted to celebrate. YouTube, out of nowhere, just tells me, whatever. It's 100,000 if you watch the video. Does YouTube know that nearly 18 million people have watched my videos? But thank you for 100,000 views. It's very good of you. Where were we? Right. Eric Rochford says, I have 105,000 kilometres on my 2-year-old. Superb since new. Going better and more mileage to put on it. Well-maintained diesel with higher mileage is actually better buy, in my opinion. Yeah, it usually is. Once it's broken in and it's got all its service kits done, and it's in good condition. It's all you want, really. You don't need a whole lot else. Sean Smith says, hi Bob, can't wait for the mini road trip. Me neither. I'm really looking forward to it. It should be great crack, because it's going to be... I love being really busy. Busy with big breaks. So what I love on those international trips is when you get there, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, their time. You get in the car, you drive for a couple of hours, you get a bit of lunch, you get to think about the car for a little bit, discuss the car with other people. It's always useful to discuss the car with other journalists. You jump back in the car and you go to the airport or go to the hotel, and then you're free. Free to go and edit or create or do or shower or change or whatever it is. Then you're back downstairs, you listen to the press conference, you get all that stuff, and then you get up the next day and you drive the car again. That's my ideal. Because the second drive, then you kind of get to relax and think, And what I really liked in a Range Rover trip, Land Rover is the parent company, by the way. Range Rover is the junior company. What I loved in that trip was the first day they gave us a diesel car, and that was our single car for the whole day. We didn't change out that car again. It was brilliant. We got so familiar with it, and you actually get used to the whole car and everything it does. And then the next day we changed to a petrol engine with a totally different spec, and we got to see a totally different car again. It was lovely. It was like driving 2 different cars on the same trip. It was actually the same thing. So I love those kind of things. So this mini trip looks like it's just full of action the whole time. We're landing in Heathrow, we're going to Oxford, picking up a car, we're going to Liverpool in a hotel or something, and then we're going on a ferry the next day. So I'll be out that night in Liverpool, if anybody knows anybody from Liverpool. Although everybody in Liverpool is Irish. Last time I was there, everybody was Irish. Everybody understands the same thing, same accent, nearly. Zedenko says, I'm from Croatia originally, and you will enjoy the landscape and food there, but be very careful with Croatian police. They are nasty. Croatian police know who I am and be fine. It'd be okay. I'm sure it'd be okay with me. They're usually okay with everything that everyone else does. I've talked to lovely French police once upon a time who pulled me over just to see the car I was driving. So there, it's great. That's exactly why they put me over as well. They weren't putting me over because I was speeding. I was speeding though. Is it Mother's Day in the UK? I don't know. Is it not? I know it's Mother's Day here. Oh, you're panicking now. You need to go out now and get some flowers. I don't know whether we line up or not on the same Mother's Day. We often don't on many other occasions, so maybe it isn't. Watermelon Gamer 210. That's quite a lot. How do you watermelon game? Anyway, Bob, I have bought a Mini Coupe's frame without an engine, and it was driving perfectly, and I would love to know how much you would sell it for. Thanks, Love X. You bought a what? A Mini Coupe frame without an engine. Where are you going to put the engine? I don't really understand that question. How much would you sell it for? Just the frame of the car, just the shell of the car with no engine in it. Whatever you can get for it. You're not going to get much for one without an engine. If people can't drive it, then they can't really test it, all the things, so they won't touch it anyway. But maybe come back and explain that question a bit further in. John Carney says, Justin, I have to say I really agree with doing as much maintenance on the car as you can yourself. It's very important to know your limits. Oil changes are one thing, but brakes and timing belts should be tackled by trained people. Serviced my Polo myself, and there's over 350,000 kilometres on it. That's exactly what the title of this show is today, How to Service Your Car, which I haven't touched in one little bit. There's a couple of little things you need to start off with. You need a couple of little bits of tools, right? I need to be a bit of a tidy person as well. So you have to be very methodical with servicing, any kind of servicing on a car, no matter what the servicing is. you need to be very methodical with that sort of stuff. So if you're taking out sump plugs and nuts and bolts or whatever it is, don't just throw them on the ground beside the car and leave them there. Get a little bowl, a little plastic bowl. Put things in so you know where to come from. And have multiple little bowls. Don't put all of the nuts and bolts or whatever you're doing into one bowl, because you won't know which nut is for what hole when you're going to put it back together again. So only put like with like. One of the easiest jobs doing a car is changing an air filter. If you start there, you'll feel that I did something, I achieved some DIY-ness if you just did an air filter. Even if today, and I mean today, you go out to your car, you lift the bonnet, open the air filter, find it, open it, pull out the actual card air filter inside and blow the air off it, or even hoover it with your own hoover at home. Just hoover it. You will have done that much. And hoover out the box that's there as well, the inside of the box. You're not going to do any harm. Hoover that out and put the air filter back in. Your car will go, I can breathe better. It's good. And it'll run better as well. Just doing that much will get you started. After that, the second easier thing to do is change the spark plugs. Really simple. Literally, you need a socket set with the right size head on it that it goes down. You can pick that up you pick it up at Aldi's socket set for a couple of quid. Get that. Now, some spark plugs obviously are recessed, which is a bit further away, so you might need an extension bar. Again, it usually comes in a socket set. Take out the spark plugs and put in new spark plugs. You can even get ones now where the gap is set by the car company or by the company that made spark plugs, and so it's really straightforward. You don't need a gap set or any sort of stuff anymore. You can check it if you want to, but you don't really need it. And then the third easiest thing to do in your car is change the oil. Tiny bit more technical, but basically the same thing. It's very messy, or can get very messy very quickly. Waste oil goes to either a garage. You can go to a garage and they will take your waste oil often. They might ask for a couple of quid just to get rid of it. Or you can go to your local dump and they will take waste oil there too. There will be a charge for that. It's only going to be a $5 or something. It's not terribly expensive to get rid of waste oil. But don't pour it down the bloody drain, right? Anyway, but those are the simple things. Now, big things like brakes, if you're a beginner, very slow, very methodical, be very sure of what you're doing here. You make a mistake on brakes, the car won't stop. That's exactly what's going to happen. The car will not stop. Suspension, that definitely you can do that yourself. Track rod ends, track rod arms, that sort of thing, they're all easy things to do as well. It's just literally open and bolt. These are all dirty things to do, but they're easy things to do. Timing belt, that can mess your car up real fast. You can do one for sure, but if you do it wrong and it breaks, you're going to destroy your engine. But you live and learn, that happens. My God, I can't pronounce that name. Keti Metez Mabusa says, hello from Johannesburg in South Africa. You're very welcome. Good to have you here. Don't forget, you can support this channel should you want to by clicking the links down below. There is links for PayPal, Patreon, and of course you can use Super Chat right here on YouTube. It's very much appreciated and goes to fund all of the equipment and all the trips and all the things that are happening out there. So at least I can buy a sandwich or something when I'm out making all these videos, of which I have to go again this evening and make another video of the X5. Anyway, Paul O'Connor says, hi, thanks very much. Good to have you here. The Butcher says the rotary seals are called apexes. That's the name of them. It almost burns the same oil to lubricate. True. Apex seals around the edges, an awful pain in the hole. You do eat them, but then what price is freedom, Joe Berg, wow, Bob, you're global now. Yeah, I do get a lot of messages from South Africa. You get a lot of messages from Australia and New Zealand. Usually after shows, people watch it back. This one that I do here, gets about between 2,500 and 3,000 views here. And a little over double that in podcasts. So it's become a thing to itself, which is kind of weird. I actually meet people now who only know me from the Sunday service. Never watched the car video. They only listen to it on podcasts and things. So it's fun. What happens if you're caught speeding in a rental car? Who gets the ticket? You do. Who gets the ticket and how does the speeder get notified? So what happens is you give your license over to get the car in the first place. The speeding fine initially goes to the rental company. The rental company will pass it on to you. There is a time limit on speeding tickets, so if you don't pay within a certain time, the ticket starts to escalate in a lot of countries. But there is a way around it. When it's a rental car, it's delayed. It goes through fine, so you definitely get it in the end, Emily. No matter where you've rented a car, once you're the named driver, or the named driver gets it. So if you rent a car and your husband or wife or brother, uncle, aunt drives the car, you will still get the fine. So they don't need to show your face to get the fine anymore. Snazbot, the car industry collapse for what what would it look like? One utilitarian car for all. It won't collapse, but yeah, well, if you look back to some of the communist cars that are out there, some of the Fiat 127s, Fiat 125, that got turned into all kinds of Yugos and all sorts of stuff. That's kind of what it would look like if there was just one car company out there manufacturing a car for everybody. That's exactly what the Beetle was made for at the end of the Second World War. That's exactly what Hitler was looking for, a car for everybody. So there's an element of, if you look at history, it will teach you forward. So if you look at what already happened in history, that's exactly what happened. The whole industry collapsed in the morning. And we're only going to make one car. It would be the cheapest, crappiest, lowest CO2 thing we could probably find, and which would be very poor. Think Mad Max, only on small 1.3 litre engines. If you didn't notice, also on my Instagram, I actually met Tom Hardy a couple of weeks ago at the Audi R8 launch. He's a lovely guy, absolutely lovely guy. We did exchange contact details, so I have been in touch since to try and arrange something with him. This may not happen, but if it happens, it's going to be big. If it happens, that's the way things happen. Anyway, see what happens. Richard Brennan says, rumours of Ireland joining the Commonwealth. Bob, good or bad idea for us? Bad, be very bad. It would not be a good idea for us to join. So I'll tell you why. Because first of all, there's an awful lot of animosity still between the two countries. The posh people of the Parliament in the UK should give you an indication of how they feel about the Republic of Ireland. Since one had come out and said that they should just invade Ireland, that would solve their problem with the Brexit problem. So just invade us and leave it at that. Which, of course, that's neither here nor there. Second part of it would be we'd have to change our currency. Thirdly, we'd have to change our banking rules and our policies. And fourthly, we'd have to change things like NHS, and we'd have to take on everything they do and scrub everything that Europe does. It would be a gargantuan job to get that done. It'd be much easier for us to take on Northern Ireland. Hello, Northern Ireland. It'd be much easier for Ireland and Northern Ireland to become one country in the EU and Europe. And then from being that part of Europe, being just the western arm of Europe, and then Britain just geographically in the middle of the two. The problem with joining England would be the division of currencies and rules and regulations in parliaments, and we have our own government, and there's just so many little things that have to be done. It would take years, so it'd be a difficult one to try and achieve for us and them, barring they actually come here and just invade us and take over. Jared, hi Jared. You were looking to do some electric stuff anyway a while ago. Jared says, hi Bob, are you heading to Goodwood? Think you're making a trip? I'm not. I don't have time for Goodwood this year, I don't think, unless somebody stumps up. See, the thing, when you go with a car company, you get VIP thing, which means you just get either helicoptered into it, or you get in there on a sort of a back doorway, which is much easier than being on the bloody road down to Goodwood. It's brilliant. Goodwood Festival of Speed is one of the best events, motoring events to do in the whole of the world, let alone Europe or Ireland or England. It's worth your time. It isn't cheap. It's also a hell of a thing to try and get into. The traffic can be phenomenally bad from very, very early in the morning. So just bear all that in mind, and it won't be such a bad trip for you, because you'll just be wondering why you're stuck in traffic the whole time. But the actual event is brilliant and is worth going along to. You will see cars there and get physically near cars that you just won't at nearly any other show. Now, as long as car companies continue to support it like they were doing before, it should be brilliant. I was there a couple of years ago, hung out with Ben Collins and what's that drift guy from Ford called Ken Block. Had lunch with them too. I don't know why people like Ken Block. But yeah, Ben Collins seemed like a nice manager. So it should be a good year this year again, I think, if all goes according to plan. Is there a mini day show at the White River go-kart track here in Dunleer beside the M1 on soon? I'll get you a day. Yeah, sure. If you know the people who run it, get them in touch with me, and we see if we can make some sort of a video out with a bit of a laugh out, do something with it. Anyway, it's always something like that. Bob, have you seen the new Ferrari F40? I've seen the drawings. I don't know much about it. I don't really deal in performance things other than a passing interest. I actually think most of the Ferraris all look kind of the same, if I'm honest. So I'm quite numb to these things. But again, everybody gets excited when a Ferrari's coming out. It's probably sold out already, which is what happens to a lot of these things. Where are we next? Paul O'Connor says 118,000 kilometres on my 2-year-old Superb. 105k. 118,000 kilometres on 2 years. What the hell have you been doing, Paul? Just driving around Ireland for the whole time. Some people like driving. Some people drive for work, I suppose. I was not saying that, Emily. I was saying Wankel engine. Mr. Wankel made the rotary engine and they're still investing money in the rotary engine. Weirdly, seen a report there they were thinking about doing another rotary engine. I don't think we'll see it ever come out. They could never, in all the years they were trying to do all the work with rotary engines, they got some brilliant engines out of it, not longevity wise, and definitely not low CO2. They are up the wazoo with CO2. Brian Cullen says, Ireland joined the Commonwealth. No, take a hike. Just logically, taking all of the history out of it, I don't think economically nor physically would it work. But what I would love to see tackled, and if I was given in a politician's position, to make some sort of rules or regulations about it or to get something done, would be a bloody tunnel under the Irish Sea. Why isn't there one? I don't understand. The distance between Northern Ireland and Scotland is less than the distance between Dover and Calais. Where the Channel Tunnel is. It's much less. It'd be so easy to build one, and I don't know why they didn't. Just build a tunnel, then we could all drive there. What would be the story there? No problem. Have a tunnel we can drive in, or have a tunnel we have to take a train in. Whatever. Andy McAfee says, change the air filter on a BMW E60 530D. If you want to see a genius BMW design, I'm not surprised yet. BMW would not be the best people for creating an engine bay that's easy to work on. That's probably why they charge so much for servicing, because it's just hard work to get in around that engine. Even changing a bleeding bulb can be a nightmare, like taking off half the front of a car or pulling out the entire air filter box or whatever it is. It can be an awful pain in the ass. So just bear that in mind, that some cars are a lot easier to work on than others. And when you're on your test drive, you're thinking about buying a car, pop the bonnet, have a look in. Can you see the back of the lights? Can you see where the air filter is? Can you see where things are? Because, if it ever comes down to it, you'll be standing on the side of the road trying to fix these things. And unless you have a toolbox in the boot of the car, you're not going to get very far, Click the like button if you don't mind. And if you really want to support the channel in a big way, you can do so from the links down below. There is a link for PayPal, there's a link for Patreon, and there is also the super chat link, which is the little dollar sign above below the chat. That keeps this channel flowing and keeps the whole thing free, and it also gives me the ability to say whatever the hell I want about cars, which is generally the way I am. If anyone's watched enough of the channel by now, you all know that I just say whatever's on top of my head, whether it be good or bad. I made some companies so nervous that they're probably not going to give me any more cars, and that's okay. They'll come around to my way of thinking eventually. But it's a busy few weeks that have just gone. Loads of videos coming out, more videos to come out again, maybe 2 or even 3 next week. I have to get the Skoda Scallia in there somewhere as well, which will also be part of it. But Paul Hickey says, we changed an air filter on a 2006 BMW 318 one time. Never again. Half the side of the engine had to be removed. It's true. Yeah, BMW, like I said, they don't do easy work bays very easily, so they don't like to do that sort of thing. They don't think about the car as being serviced, and any BMW mechanic will tell you that as well. That's quite normal. I only get my car serviced by people I know. I got scammed 7 years ago by a garage on the Nace Road in Dublin. I had a 4-year-old Golf and I swapped a new Goodyear tyres for worn Triangle tyres. My God, that's a scam, alright. People who recommend it. That's the way I work it. There's a couple of garages I know very well that I trust 100% with the stuff. They just don't cheat anybody. A couple of them are main dealers as well, so that the main dealers do work it. Now, I suppose I live in a sort of unique position in that there's very few garages in the country that I'd walk into where someone doesn't know who I am, and that's not a big thing for me. It's because in press conferences, in dealer conferences, when dealers are going up to see what's going on, they show them a thing to say what the press are talking about when it comes to their cars. And because I deal almost exclusively in videos, I'm always in one of those videos somewhere. So that's how they know my face, at least. So I was supposed to live in a unique position where I know people, or they know me. Whereas you guys are walking off the street. It doesn't make it any less important. But, if you can find someone you know, someone you trust, or do the servicing yourself if the car is old enough, then, there's nothing going to stop you doing that. Hey, Bob, only tuned in now. I'm detailing a Mazda. You're detailing the Mazda. Come on. Come on. You have me on the background. That's the way it is. I'm assuming I'm on them buses again today. There's a few tourist buses around the country these days. You should put on Sunday service every Sunday on a tourist bus as well. Paul O'Connor says, Eric Rochford, very true. I have an L&K with options. I know I won't get the value on trading, but Jesus, what a great car. Tis, in fairness, L&K, serious car, just a massive, beautiful, cruisy thing to wander about, and it's just lovely out to own. My car services every 15,000 kilometres, Gary told. If anything looks like it's going to need replacing, just do it. That's generally what most people do. That's not what I do, mind you. But yes, sometimes what I do is do it myself, like just because I'm a cheapskate. I like to save money as much as I can. Don't forget to click the like button if you don't mind, please. It'd be great. 46 likes, 81 people watching at this very moment, with nearly 500 people already watching. So it's okay. It's okay though. Click the like button if you can. It'd be brilliant. Where was the next one? There it is. Kevin McCarthy. Hi Bob. My 2014 BMW 320 diesel is drinking engine oil. It's got 120,000 miles on the clock. I find myself putting 1 litre in every couple of thousand miles. What's going on, do you reckon? Well, so the way to work out what's happening with oil is there's a couple of ways. First of all, the oil sump is a sealed unit. So when oil goes in, it can't really come back out. There isn't anywhere for it to go. So it has to change into something else to get out of the engine, right? It may seem, now keep up for a second. So it has to go from a liquid to a gas to get out of the engine. So when it turns to a gas, what happens is it gets sucked up into the cylinders and fired out through the exhaust system. Now, that means one of two things. One is the engine is overheating. It might only be the tiniest little bit, but it's just a little bit too hot and the oil is starting to evaporate out of the car. So that's one way the engine oil can come out of a car. Usually that will result in blue smoke during startup, particularly blue, not grey or black or white or steam, but actually blue. And you might only see it when the car is cold, or you might only see it when the car is very hot, or when the engine revs get very high. You might see a big puff of blue smoke on the back. The only other way the engine oil can get out of the car is dripping out through somewhere else. So physically dripping out of the bottom of the car, which is the sump seal, which is where the big metal part of the sump is attached to the bottom of the car and it's sealed on underneath there. It can get a little leak in that, or around the actual sump nut, which is the nut on the bottom of the car. Now, some cars have a plate over the bottom of the sump guard, over the bottom of the car, which means you won't see this oil. It could be pooling in that part and dripping out as the car is driving along, so you might not actually see it on the ground as a little kind of puddle of oil. So you'd have to check those things out. Really, you shouldn't be using that much of an amount of oil. There is definitely something wrong with the car. Now, it could be multiple things. It's diagnosis stuff. It could be multiple things that's wrong, but realistically, engine oil cannot get out of a car unless it turns into a gas, or unless it physically leaks out to the bottom of the car. In itself, running a little bit low on engine oil is not catastrophically bad. It's actually worse to have too much engine oil in the car, believe it or not, because it goes up into the pistons. It goes right up, it splashes up into the pistons and will cause misfires and all sorts of things. It's actually better to have a gingy bit too little engine oil in the car, and that will keep it running a bit more smoothly. But if your car is going through every couple of thousand miles 1 litre of engine oil, that's a lot. You would have to go in and get a diagnosis system turned onto it, and if you checks done by a regular mechanic. But realistically, I think your engine's probably coming to the end of its life and will probably start failing NCTs at some point, which is unfortunately just out of warranty on 2014 for BMWs. Might be a known problem. It could be worth checking it out, but be very careful where you go next, because if you do run out of engine oil, that car is just going to sit down on you and not go anywhere any further. You could, of course, put it immediately up for sale and say nothing. That's just, you're on the Sunday service and your buyer may not be on the Sunday service. Be aware, if you see 120,000 miles BMW 320 diesel, the for sale at a very reasonable price, you know where it came from. Paul O'Connor, I don't try to service a car myself. I don't like to try and cut my own hair. It's not like cutting your own hair. I try and cut my own hair if I could be bothered, but I have another secret weapon called Paul McGann. He's a master barber. He cuts my hair. Sure, why not? Why wouldn't you service your own car? You could save hundreds, and I literally do mean hundreds on every service. You could be charged 150, 200 quid for a standard, just an oil filter and an air filter change, and they might not even change the air filter. It could be just the oil. I've seen services as low as €90 written up, and it's just changed the oil. They don't even change the oil filter, they just change the oil. Like, you could do that yourself in a couple of minutes, literally a couple of minutes. If you want to do it properly, of course, you warm the engine up, drive around, get the engine nice and warm, put it up, drop the oil out, leave it sitting there, leave the sump nut off for a good 20 minutes. Just let it all drip all the way out, sump nut back in, put a washer back on the sump nut, always works. You just get a little washer on the bottom of it. It's easy. Pick it up in place like Bradshaw's. put a washer on it, put it back up, and then just fill it back up with oil. Just look in your manual, it'll tell you exactly how much engine oil your engine takes. Put in 1 litre, dip, take it out, see where the oil has appeared. Put in 2 litres, dip, sees the oil appeared on your dipstick. Put in 2.5 litres, sees the oil appear in the dipstick. 3 litres, then you'll know. Eventually you get to the point where it'll sit there. Now remember that your oil filter has to fill up with oil, and it doesn't usually when you're pouring in the oil. So when you put in like 2.5 litres and you start the car and it's ticking over, you listen to it, let it tick over a minute until it gets nice and warm, and then stop the engine, check your dipstick, you'll find it just dropped down again because it's gone into the oil filter. Because the oil filter could be, well, half a litre really in the oil filter, depending on what car it is. You're all having conversations with each other there. Yes, of course. There he is. Jared says, yes, Bob, just bought a Golf GTE in October. Loving it, but looking possibly getting a Golf R this year through work. Any other 300 brake horsepower small cars look at? Not really. Golf R is the king of that segment for sure. As the Cupra, if you're into soft rollers, the Cupra Ateca, which I recently tested, I thought that was a great little car. Good fun, bit expensive, but good fun. But then you're up in that Golf R level, so it's the same engine. There's very little else to trouble the Golf R right now than what's there. Even my own colleague working for RTE, Leah Carroll, has bought a Golf R as well for herself. So that's good testament. You can't say much more than that, can you? A journalist buying a car. Makes it uncool. Makes it, when a journalist buys a car, that car is instantly uncool. Because the only reason a journalist buys a car is because he absolutely loves it. That's it. Alex Theodore says, bought the Aveo, loving it. What's an Aveo? Chevy Aveo, is it? I can't picture that car. Is that a small little car? I can't picture that car. Cross says, we only joined the Commonwealth because part of the series of concessions to the Unionists while we're building the idea of a United Ireland they could live with. Mini Egg says, hi Bob, any eggs left? No, I have no mini eggs left. They're gone. We've eaten the lot. They went out the window. We didn't hold them on for Easter, wasn't it? Is Easter gone or still coming? Easter's still coming, is it? I don't know. I'm not a religious person, so I don't know when Easter happens, but I just know the mini egg day happens very regularly. Do you get the very new Passat all track in Ireland? Have you tried the old one? I do. We did. I don't think it was on a fleet very long, but it did test the all track. It is very good, like the Audi all road versus the A6. Same thing as a Passat and a Passat all track. It's DSG usually, 4-wheel drive with a sort of a semi quattro system in it. And plastic fairings and kind of sump guards and things on to make it a bit more off-roady. They look really cool. They're unnecessary because the Passat's actually pretty good, but they look cooler than a Passat, I think. So does the A6 all-road. That looks cooler than an A6. The Mini Day is called Mini Magic, and on the September the 15th and sponsored by Mini Ireland. What is? Come back. What's sponsored by Mini Ireland? The Mini Day on some sort of a track thing? Well, sure. Tell the people there to get in touch with me, or someone, Mini Ireland, to get in touch with me, and I'll figure it out. I get invited to so many different things I forget where I'm going at this stage. Right. I'll take a drink there. See this? I have to give a shout out. This is Land Rover's bottle, right? They have my name on it there on the side of it. It was the first press conference I went along where they said they were cutting down on their plastic usage. And so would you please take a bottle and fill it with water at the taps? So they weren't going to give us bottles of water in the car and stuff. Genius. I love it. Absolutely love it. Not because I got a free bottle, but because that's how you cut down on plastic usage. Single-use plastics need to be banned completely. Every bloody beach I've gone to in I don't know how many years now has had bits of plastic turn up everywhere. We need to stop doing that. That's much more critical and impactful thing to do than buying an electric car, to be honest with you. Anyway. And the reason there's no tunnel in the Mulligan Tire is the lack of infrastructure on the other side. Galloway route has all dumped munitions from World War II and a deep trench. Holy shit. That's from Cross 13. Eric Watch says, easy to knock up the miles in Ireland motorway, Bob. As I'm sure you know, I drive from Waterford to Dublin and similar distances a couple of times a week. Easy to get 100,000 kilometres quickly. Yeah, kilometres just clock away very fast. It's funny, when I was in UK there recently, I just realised how far a mile is versus how far a kilometre is. It's funny when you're driving, somewhere 10 miles away and you go, God, I should be there in no time at all. That's a long way. 10 miles is a lot longer. Between Fishguard and Rosslare would be doable but super expensive. 30 to 50 billion. I still think it'd be worth it. Honest to God, the amount of money that's spent on ferries, just getting cars and trucks on and off this island, where a tunnel would make so much sense. I really would. I think it'll pay you back. And I always think a government should work on behalf of its consumers and not on behalf of big business. I think that elevates everybody. We should have affordable public transport. We should have affordable hospitals. We should have affordable rent. You know, you work on behalf of the people, you get a return from it. People need to be kept happy. Unfortunately, in this day and age, it's always the same. Paul O'Connor says DSG2, etc., etc. I was going to change mine this year, but I was waiting because diesel, electric discussions, etc. 50,000 a year on mileage, but this is my second Superb. I certainly, if you were doing 50,000 kilometers a year, I would not change to electric. That would be, it's doable. It's definitely doable on many of them, but God Almighty, we don't even know how much they're going to charge for electric yet. Like they said, we're going to start charging for electric, but they didn't say exactly how much that's going to be. Whether it's going to be an ongoing fee and then pay per use, or what it was going to be. This is the problem that everybody has, is the single idea of you don't know. When you don't know, you can't decide, and that's it. My neighbour has... Emily, Emily, I'm going to remove that question because that is just horrendous. I'm sorry, but that is just absolutely... I'm sorry. That's not right. You're wrong. You're wrong to even consider that, and I'm going to put you in timeout now for a little bit. You're great for asking questions. Love that, but that is a completely inappropriate and disgusting thing you just said. So... farewell. Paul Hickey, lots of horror stories doing the rounds of garages, including main dealers that are not servicing cars properly, like only removing 1 litre of used engine oil and then topping up to save money. I know, it's been going on for years. Lots of rumours. Lots of garages will start rumours about other garages in the area to do them out of business and all that sort of stuff. It happens. That's why I'm telling you to learn how to do your own servicing. Learn how to check to see servicing has been done properly. At least do that, even if you can't do your own servicing. Things like marking the oil filter, checking the oil level yourself before it goes in for service, checking the condition of the oil before you go in for service, checking the air filter before you go in for service. Then when it comes back out, checking all that again and make sure it's all been done and done on the spot. Don't just assume a garage would do it. Everybody's lazy, guys. Everybody's out to make profit and make money. And for right now, garages are desperate for money, and I'd love to support them in some way. But if they're not ripping you off, in some ways, they're in business to make money. That's it. You know, you have to remember that. But like, you can do a service on your own car at home for 60 quid, 70 quid, and a full service. 4 spark plugs, engine oil, air filter, change it all out yourself. You do it for less than 60, 70 quid, and then just a bit of time. And you just gotta be patient. And if you go off and buy for your car, buy a Haynes manual. He's passed away now, the man who created a Haynes manual. But if you go off and buy a Haynes manual for your car, it'll definitely guide you through step by step exactly how to do each one of the things to your car that you ever dreamt of. I went to test the water to see what I got from the UK full spec Hyundai iX35 Premium 2010. Got it valued by Cartel, which said €8,800, and was looking at a second-hand Outlander 5 PHEV 2016 offer 3,500. Wow, see, you can get the deals if you look for them. And unfortunately, the more you look at the UK, the more the deals become apparent. Spec-wise, price-wise, they want to shift their cars as well. But just remember, a lot of those cars they want to get rid of are the cars that the UK are going to ban in 2030. So they don't want them hanging around the UK. They want them over here, where we're going to have to dump them in the ocean. Brian says, there you go, I was vacuuming my car and wash and a seat and rub down. How would you tackle smelly fabric seat? Vinegar and water is one way. Vinegar and water is pretty good. Baking soda is also very good. Baking soda in water. It makes sort of a paste, a nice paste. Now, it will change the colour, so it won't take the colour out of the seat. But if the seat has any dirt on it, will actually clean it off as well. So baking soda, a little drop of water, turns into sort of a paste. Use a nail brush, scrub it into it, and let it soak, baby. Let it soak. Be very careful of too much water. If you too much water, it's going to drip through the seat right down onto the floor, and underneath your seat will be cables and wires that control the airbags of the car. They control the electrics in the back. They control anything, heated seats and all. It's all under your seat, so be very careful of that. So I say make a paste out of baking soda and water. You can use vinegar and baking soda, but that will foam, so you get a lot of foam coming out of it as well. But vinegar and water is pretty good as well. But just don't make it too wet. In the old days, for valeting, what you would do is take out the seats and hose them down. Literally, with a power hose, you would hose them down and then just leave them out to dry, because there was nothing in them. There's no side airbags. They weren't connected electrically to anything. Physical connections everywhere. So, but if you're getting a smell from the fabric, you will have to do the carpets on the floor as well, because the smell could be coming from under the seat as well as in the seat cushion itself. But baking soda and water would do that one. There's plenty of things you can buy in the shop as well, like Halfords for cleaning off seats. They're chemically based. They're usually baking soda or vinegar or something in a bottle. The same basic stuff, just in a nice shiny bottle. Annie McAfee says, I have dash cam footage from years ago at a Skoda main dealers. My new VRS first service getting fresh oil and then from cold to 103 in a 30 km/h zone with a short time. You notice the camera on a third run. Yeah, you see, it's stories like that make it online, and as true as it is, it's probably very rare, but they're the ones that we see online. They're the ones that are always published and shown on 6 o'clock news and stuff, which give the dealerships bad names because it's poor training. It's very poor training by the dealership. That driver didn't learn that from just doing it himself. He learned it from someone who works there. He learned it because other people are doing it, and that's the problem. It's poor training, and it filters down through the whole group. Peter Dolan says, hi Bob, do you remember the RTE program called Drive? I do. Michael Sheridan was in that, as a friend of mine now. So was Neil Briscoe in that, a friend of mine now as well. Back in the day, came across an old episode on YouTube the other day. It'd be great to see an updated version of Irish TV fronted by yourself. Definitely, I've offered it on multiple occasions to multiple production companies, none of whom can get any sort of funding from RTE because RTE already have a wonderful show called Top Gear, and that's how they service their car people out there. They buy it in as a package from the UK. So television stations, they buy EastEnders. I'm just using any old thing that I can think of off the top of my head. So say they buy EastEnders as a series. To sweeten the deal and to pay the money to get EastEnders to show it on your television, what they do is they throw in a series of something else. So they throw in Blackadder, Top Gear, and something else. Reruns, older ones that are a couple of weeks old. And so the company, the television station, has something to fill their channel with, even if it's completely irrelevant to the Irish market. They still fill it with that sort of stuff. Often they will get bunches of movies. They'll be sold 4 or 5 movies from the US or from distribution services down here. So you buy a package of things, and in the package was Top Gear many years ago, and RT's managed to hold on to the rights of it. And so every time someone wants to do a car show on RT and they go and pitch it, they're told, well, no, Dermot Bannon does things with buildings. He's much better, and just keep letting him run the place, or a gardening show or whatever it is, So there's nothing wrong with those shows. It's just that's where the money is where the viewers are, or so they say. And Top Gear services that, when we all, of course, watch Top Gear on BBC, not on RT. Well, I don't watch Top Gear at all, actually. I haven't seen a single episode of this year's one, and I've watched every single one of the Grand Tour, so it's pretty good. Grand Tour is very good. This season is very good. But Drive was very good, yeah. I remember one of the reasons I fell in love with video on cars was Drive, Top Gear, Fifth Gear. There's so many shows, Men in Motors and all sorts of stuff. Hammond started Men in Motors. Men in Motors have their own YouTube channel. Ironically, during this week's Sunday service, I had to cut my own hair by cut shade what emerged the back. You're going to cut your own hair? Send me a picture. I want to see the before and after. Is it like terribly bad or what? If you like a particular kind of haircut, very short, it's not so hard to cut yourself with the help of 2 mirrors and some home clippers. If you really want me to make a video of me cutting my own hair. See, like I say, I have a secret weapon. He's further down there, Paul McGann, who's coming. He got a new passport. You got a new passport. You're going to come with me in the suitcase when you're going to. You're going over to, what do you call it? Croatia. Split in Croatia. I'm going there on Wednesday. Italian passport. Annie McAfee, hair cutting can be dangerous. Now you see, I have a full metal threaded top barrel skinned turn mug for my required coffee. Good man. Been using it daily for over 12 years. Been all over the world and utterly battered. Brews last 12 to 16 hours warm. I also notice things like cups, reusable cups you can buy. They're not environmentally friendly. A lot of them aren't, because on the top of them is a plastic thing, and this has actually got plastic up here as well, but it's hard plastic, totally recyclable plastic on the top of that. And often coffee cups that you buy in a shop, when you buy a little cup of coffee, like 2 brewers coffee or 2 mates coffee, whatever the thing is called, the inside of that cup has a plastic coating because if it was cardboard it would just leak. So that's also a problem, a massive problem. Don't bring a reusable cup to the coffee shop. A lot of coffee shops have a discount for if you bring your own cup to them. So if I can't remember her name, Melanie May. I don't know what the name of her website is, but Melanie May she was a modern journalist, or is a modern journalist. She's a travel journalist, and she has an article on her website. I think it's melaniemay.com. and you can check out it. She lists out all of the places that give you a discount off your coffee if you bring a renewable cup. It's worth a try. And tell her I sent you. Leave a message on her website, like, say that Bob said, go here. It's always good. What goes wrong comes around. The Turbo Warrior 343. Hey Bob, I was at Noel DC's Skoda dealer in Cork the other weekend. Drove the Octavia RS and then I had a go in the Kodiaq. Great fun, but also learned how to use an automatic first time, unnerving. Yeah, and they are a little bit tricky as well, because the way they're set up in the Skoda is that it actually cuts out, it uses the stop-start system when there's like 3 or 4 kilometres still on a clock, and you're driving like you're just slowing down, it cuts out. That's going to get worse soon as Range Rover say 17 kilometres an hour is enough to cut out the engine from. So, but yeah, if you've never driven an automatic, and of course I take it for granted, I'm very lazy these days. God, if I see a manual car coming at me these days, I go, oh no, it's a manual. What do you want to drive a manual for? I'm fierce lazy. So I prefer the DSGs, automatics, or whatever's out there at the moment. But at the same time, it's it can be weird when you're driving an automatic. You instantly reach for the clutch, your left leg goes out to press the clutch down and stuff. When you go to America, you realise there's no going anywhere. Sean Smith, good caller, removing. I did, yeah. I got rid of Emily Foley. If I was wondering, really, that was something really. I just started off really good, but ended up turning out to be really nasty. I really hate that. I hate nasty people. I very rarely get them on the channel. It's very rare someone's nasty to me, but once in a while, sometimes they can be a little bit off the wall, I think. Anyway, maybe Emily will calm down eventually. I put her in time out. It doesn't mean they're gone forever. It just means it just can't comment right now until I come down off my high horse. I agree, John. Missed Emily comments. Can't you get penalty points for drinking and looking at the Sunday service? You only get religious penalty points, which is ones that I dole out, which is little crucifixes, and so that's how you get your penalty points from here. You can drink all you want sitting here watching the Sunday service as much as you like. No one's going to judge you here, whatever way it is. We're not preachy like that. Brian O'Connell says, I was offered my Hyundai iX35 Premium full spec €3,500. Even DOE was valued at €8,800. I said no thanks. They came back and offered me $5,000 up from 3.5. I said no thanks. Sure, whatever. Emily, I'm not interested in relaying her own questions. That's not a question anyone would ask. Don't. You're on your own warning now. Next to be banned, full ban from there on out. Okay, keep it normal, keep it light, keep it nice. Ask your questions and keep going. Donna Gamble says, hi Bob, which car would you choose, a 2008 Mercedes E220 CDI or a 2008 BMW 520 diesel? Thanks. I would BMW 5, Chris Bangle's 5 Series, beautiful looking car, 5 Series, not much kit in it. If it was an automatic, I'd like it, not terribly reliable. That engine wouldn't probably go around the clock for you. The Mercedes C220 CDI, on the other hand, is a very reliable engine, but again, you won't have much kit on it. Mercedes is a bit weird. You kind of have to get used to Mercedes. The gear stick is on the steering column, and there's a couple of other things you get used to as well. I would probably pick the 2008 E220. Lovely car. Service cost though, before you decide which one you're going to pick, Donna, I tell you, as a great test for you is to find out what size tyres each car takes, and go off online, find a company that does a tyre that size, and just see how much it costs. If you can easily afford to replace all 4 of the tyres in that car every 2 years, then choose one of those cars, because those things have to be done. I mean, they have to be done. You can't go on ball tyres. You come to an NCT, you're going to buy them anyway. And as I'm looking at a 5 Series, the X5 outside the door today, I price set of tyres for that, run flats, good quality ones, €700 a corner. I nearly died. 21-inch tyres, €700 a corner. So like, it's expensive cars have expensive tastes. Sean Smith, Bob, I've even wanted to remove the seats of my car when cleaning. Yeah, the old ones, the old days, when cars had nothing under the seat, you just literally take out 4 bolts and slide the whole bloody seat out in your hand and walk away with it. And put it down, take a power hose the crap out of it, leave it to dry in the sunshine for a couple of hours, and put it back in your car. Fresh as a daisy. Throw a bit of soap on, a bit of bicarbonate of soda on it, and just rub it in and get rid of the older stains. You have absolutely immaculate looking seats by the time you're finished. Easy. Don't do that with modern seats. For God's sake, they're all plugged in underneath. There's all kinds of wires and side impact airbags and things that are all connected to it now. Just careful with those ones. You can take them out, but it's a little bit trickier these days. The best thing for cleaning fabric seats is a solution of dish detergent and water. It breaks down the dirt and grease while not harming anything. You could do that as well. Yeah, a bit of dishwashing, a bit of normal, like the stuff you'd use to wash dishes in the sink. But make it light on water. Don't wet anything too much. There's a good reason behind it. One is it takes forever to bloody dry because the sponge inside absorbs everything, so it takes a long time to dry off those seats. But two, if any of the water drips through onto the ground under the seat where all the electrics are kept, and often are kept out in the open where you can see them all, it can be very weird. Miminsk has joined us. The best thing for cleaning fabrics is... Oh, I did that one already. My apologies. It's already been read out. Slap on the hand. I'm trying to keep up myself. Paul Hickey says YouTube videos are very good to show how you do any work in a car or motorbike. They are usually, if you specifically run up against a problem. I'm very into these days thinking about the answer of something without googling it. So if I can't remember the name of something or what I'm trying to do or what it is I'm trying to get at, I kind of just stop and think about it for as long as I can to try and engage my brain so I don't Google it first. And I'm the same when I'm repairing a car. I don't repair it that many. Don't come around having bleeding cars right for me to do servicing now. You know, but I can give plenty of advice on servicing your car. But I'm not a mechanic by any means. But at the same time, I know exactly how I'm able to deal with that. Tonic 110 has been looking at getting a Kia Niro hybrid, Bob. What are your thoughts of the car? Niro hybrid's actually okay. A bit weird looking on the back though, no? A little bit strange looking. No, there's nothing wrong with the car. It just looks a bit odd. I think Hyundai have done a better looking version of the car. But at the same time, technically, it's a great car. PHEV, I'm not a big fan of PHEVs. They just take an awful lot of charging and minding and plugging in, and you know, you just get like, God, everywhere I want to go to plug the bloody thing in. But as hybrids, they work pretty well. There is an electric EV Niro coming out soon. I will be testing that soon, but only on a short. It's like a day launch that they have here in Ireland. So we'll be testing that. I'm hoping to get a hold of that full time very soon. I will also have the Jaguar I-Pace very soon. Next couple of weeks, I think, for a few days. So I'll make a video of that while I have it, and you'll find out what an I-Pace is like. I can't charge the I-Pace here in my house because I only have a 3 kilowatt charger, and that's not enough to charge the I-Pace. It would take 27 hours or something to charge an I-Pace from zero. But I do have, my secret weapon is I have a fast charger here in the town, and there's one out in Junction 14 Mayfield as well. And I also have the Tesla place out the road, which is also a charge point. A bit far away, but also a charge point. But anyway, back to your Kia Niro thing. Kia Niro is a bloody good car. It's a Kia, so you're not really going to have that many problems. But a good petrol engine involved in it, it's fine. Snazbot says, what modern manufacturers have easy to work on cars? Thank you. None of them is the best answer to that. Actually, no, that's not true. Nissan would have fairly easy to operate engines for looking into. Same as Renault, they run on the same engine. They just leave a little bit of space around the engine bay to get your hands into places to get at stuff. But most of them actually fairly well fill the engine bay of kit and equipment these days. The hard bits to work on usually are on the bottom of the car anyway, you know, so the sump and stuff underneath, or the exhaust system or whatever. They can be awful difficult to work on, but generally speaking, most of the stuff will be fairly available around the car to get at. You're really only looking to get at the oil filter, which sometimes can be upside down, so sometimes it's on the bottom of the engine, so you have to get under the car to get at the sump, or to get at the oil filter to take it out. Other ones are kind of round the back of the engine. They're always on the bottom, but round the back of the engine also is a problem as well. So you end up climbing under the car and getting around the back of the engine to get at it. But generally, Renault, Nissan, Toyota make fairly straightforward cars to get at underneath as well. Lexus would be the same. So they're all pretty straightforward. It'd be grand. Where was it? Brian O'Donnell says, might hold on to a hybrid or electric, see what the Chinese bring in 2020 onwards. I'd wait. If you're going electric, particularly electric at the moment, I would wait till January, or not January, I'd wait till kind of November, December this year to have a look at what's really available out there, because there's a lot of stuff coming on the market in the next few months. Supply has been a problem with electric cars for a while now, so it's been a big issue, and the Chinese are going to get involved in our market very soon and will be coming, and they will go full steam ahead. They might make crap cars, or they might have made crap cars a few years back, but they've had a few years now to get it together. I've seen some pictures and stuff online. It doesn't look that bad, and I've seen a couple of journalists that I know that have been out in China and had it go on some of their cars, or some of the brilliance end of stuff, and are saying, you know, these things are like, 6 or 7 year old Toyotas. They're on that kind of realm. Emily Foley says she's awfully sorry. I'm quite ashamed. Don't be ashamed. You've apologised. You've done. Don't do it again, though. Let's just keep it nice and up and going. The Scrub On says, what's your daily driver, Bob? Is a Seat Leon, a 13-year-old, 1.6 litre petrol Seat Leon in Magico Black. It's a lovely old car. It probably needs a bit of attention now. I probably need to do a bit of tea-cut on it, just clean up the paintwork a little bit. It's the kids' car. I mean the kids' car. My wife drives it every day to work and back and brings the kids to school and does the shopping runs and things. The press car is what I drive pretty much every day, which is whatever's outside the door at the moment. And next week is the 3 Series. This week is an X5. I'm doing a lot of BMW stuff at the moment. Just rattling through them as much as I possibly can. So, but the general car that we dread to get rid of, but tax, like you just keep looking at the tax going, I'm paying €600 a year or something in tax in that car, or is it 500 and something? And if I just bought the same car, 2009, I'd pay 150 or 200 quid or something, half the money. Anyway. You live and learn. Paul O'Connor, Emily Foley. Oh yeah, don't feel sorry. Yeah, it's great. Mini Eggs, Bob. What are your next car reviews coming up in the next week or two? The one that'll be out tomorrow is the Range Rover Evoque from Greece. I drove all over Greece. If you look at where I was on a map, we covered such big distances. Thank you, Land Rover, for making me drive that far. But we covered huge distances. We climbed mountains. We went over through dry riverbeds, through wet riverbeds. We drove across 100-meter bridge above a canal. It's 100 meters straight up above a canal. We went everywhere. That's out tomorrow morning at 11:30. Also coming this week will be the Skoda Scania launch from Croatia Spit. I'm going to do the Ford Mustang video to come out. There's a Golf TSI, Volkswagen Golf TSI video to come out, and something else that's not ringing a bell right now. It's there somewhere in my brain. It will pop out in a minute. What did I film recently that I literally just got the car and brought it back? Yeah, I can't remember. Not terrible. Oh yeah, the X5 is outside the door. I'm going to film that this evening. So it's all go, like. It's all go. And tomorrow I have to film another yoke up in automotive team. So I have lots of filming to do. Just charge the iPads at home. It's always worth it, even if you're just shortening your rapid charge. Yeah, I'll plug it in, but it'll take hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to charge the bleeding thing. It's such a big battery in it. It's always the big battery is the big problem. And I don't want to change that charge point. I've had the same one. I'm not going to spend money because how many times am I going to use it? 3 or 4 times a year is what I'm going to use it for press cars. So I'm not going to change the charge point to another charge point. I'm not going to get a 22 kilowatt charger if I have to pay for it myself when I'm not going to use it. Until I get a new car. And even if I was to go out and buy an electric car tomorrow, I'd probably buy a Generation 1 Nissan Leaf and just plug it in and leave it there because we do such short mileage anyway. 2011 Corolla isn't easy to service and surprisingly parts are expensive. Really? I haven't done a Corolla in a while. Corollas used to be dirt cheap. The cheapest, crappiest oil you could put into it would run anyway. And the spark plugs are long life. Long life spark plugs are much more expensive than normal spark plugs, by the way. Don't forget, you can, please, if you can, support the channel. The channel does require support. It doesn't run on fresh air, and no car company pays for the privilege of being on a channel. Although I have been asked this year to open it up to sponsored posts. I don't know how the audience will feel about that yet, sponsored videos, but anyway, we'll see. Because it's hard to make money on YouTube these days, but it really, 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 really is. It's very difficult to make it forward, to make YouTube pay you more because you have to get a certain amount of views and do all the time and watch time and all this stuff. It's a full-time job. It really, like God almighty, I put a huge amount of hours into YouTube. And so any support you can give is always good. There is a list of links down below, which is Patreon. You can drip feed in there. It's like €1 or €2 a month, whatever you want to do. And then there's PayPal, which is just a single donation. You give whatever you want, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, whatever it is you like. Or you can use the super chat function right here. If you tick that, it will go straight into the monthly takings from YouTube anyway. And that's always welcome. It's all welcome in any way you possibly can. Donations are welcome of any kind that you can. I'm hoping to put together some sort of kitty this year to buy up things for our Sunday service, also for for future videos in the near future, which I'm hoping to do something like a Nissan Tida review. I'll have to buy one. We'll see though. Have you driven a new Corolla yet, Bob? I had a little spin in it, not a long drive in it. Seems good. Good interior. Really step up in the interior. Toyota is a bit odd at the moment. A lot of work going on in Toyota headquarters. A lot of change of staff, change of the way they do work up there. So there's a bit happening up in Toyota as well. Any thoughts about new upcoming Peugeot 208 EV? Looks good, isn't it? I mean, I seen a picture of it the other day. It looks such a pretty little car. Peugeot make really pretty little things. If they take, now see, the thing is, I would call that one a compliance car. That's the first one I actually look at and go, they're just complying with the EU regulations. So they're just taking a 208 and putting an electric unit underneath. You know, that's easy to do. You just take the shell and drop it on top of an electric car. What I would like to see Peugeot, Citroen, Opel do is make a dedicated electric car, an actual car that is just electric. It only sells as electric, like BMW's done with the i3, like done with the i8. Make a dedicated electric car. Impress me. Like, it's hard to impress me these days, I'm afraid. It really is. It takes a lot to impress me now. I get so uptight about this impressing. Anyway, sorry, go back. I'll send you my 2008 diesel Ford Focus, 200 tax. Oh, look at that! You see, he has a diesel Ford Focus, 200 bloody euro to insure or tax a diesel Focus. And here am I in 2006, 1.6 litre petrol, and it costs 500 and something quid. Is there a DS3 EV on the way too? PSA are not quite competitive yet in the EV space. There is. They have all got plans. Everyone announces these plans and shows us drawings of various things, but all of them are taking a car that exists already and putting the floating chassis, because chassis is not what they used to be these days. They're not even connected up anymore. Bodywork connects them, so they can make a car long, short, big, tall, and use basically the same parts. And so DS have their version, Citroen will have their version, Peugeot, Opel, that's that group, they'll have all of their own version. Volkswagen have announced umpteen amount of electric cars on the way, and so it's going on and on and on. They've all got versions, but we're not seeing big supply come forward. Not seeing someone going, listen, we're going to shift 10,000 electric cars in the next 3 years. No one is saying that. They're all going, yeah, we'll have an electric car. Oh yeah, so you know our future's all electric, and I'm afraid we're going to have to stop talking about it there. That's generally what happens. No comment is the next thing that comes out of someone's mouth after that. I literally sat down with Jerry McGovern. If you don't know who Jerry McGovern is, he is actually the design director for Range Rover Group. Jerry is a very confident, very sure of himself designer, old school designer. Spent a lot of his childhood in a holiday home in Leitrim. And so we had a great chat about Ireland and about the way it's running over here and Brexit and passports and all that sort of stuff. But part of it was talking about the future of design and future of how we're going to get there, what we're going to do between now and then, and what will be the future of car ownership. And the future is no one's going to own a car, really. We're going to lease the thing and get whatever car you want. But besides that part, every car will have some sort of an electric version. But the amount of investment right now that's happening today in the future of diesel and petrol engines far exceeds the amount of investment going into what electric engines can do. So I don't think we're going to lose electric or petrol diesel engines just yet. I think they're going to be hanging around for another maybe 20 to 30 years. And I don't know whether the government, anyone in the government even takes the smallest bit of advice from professionals like me out there on these sort of things. They don't seem to. They just seem to make a draw mind and throw out numbers and words that make no difference whatsoever. Sean Smith says scalia is the Latin word for ladder. I wonder if there's a ladder in a boot. It'd be funny if it was actually built on a ladder, some sort of ladder thing in it. That would be good, actually. Robert, I know nothing about the Skoda Scala. You know, I'm not terrible. I really don't. And I'm going on an international trip. It's been such a busy it's the fourth month of the year. The first 3 months have just gone, boom, it's over it. It seems like I woke up on the 1st of January and I went back to sleep on January the 1st and I've woken up now on the 31st of March. It just seems like it's flying through. Anyway, Robert Van Zandt. Robert, I always like your last name because it always reminds me of Heat, movie Heat. Because he said Van Zandt in that. Anyway, hi Bob. How are you? I'm fine. I hear the new Corolla is fantastic. Any thoughts? Don't know about fantastic. but it's certainly a big improvement over where Corolla used to be, particularly the interior. Not necessarily the exterior, but interior. It's a sharp looking car for sure, but the interior has come up in leaps and bounds. It looks much nicer inside. It feels more substantial, but I haven't had it on the road for any good, decent drive yet, and I haven't tested the fuel economy. But if it's like the Prius, it should be okay. My biggest fear of Chinese cars, besides the quality, is their history of handling legal disputes with something like Dieselgate. Their government has a history of telling people to pound sand. You're dead right. The one fear I would have is the way the Chinese government treat its own people on their privacy and their information and their tracking ability and the way they can facial recognize and all this sort of stuff. And I see Volvo, who is owned by a Chinese company, coming out with a camera system that's going to be installed into cars that will keep an eye on you to make sure you're not falling asleep or that you're not intoxicated behind the wheel, and won't start the car if either of those two conditions are not met. Now that smacks of safety yet again. I mean, there's times where you just want to put yourself in a little bit of danger. I don't mean drink driving, God, don't drink drive, but you know your own limits, really. Like, they're mitigating against things that may never happen. But anyway, freedoms are pulled away from you under the guise of being safe. That's been going on for years and years and years now. It's not going to stop anytime soon. The Scrub On says, what the talk of the new hybrid VW hot hatches that are coming from the GTI or everything's going to be electric. Everything is going to be electric. Either electric or a hybrid electric version. You're going to find more and more and more of that as people want to change their cars every 3 years. They don't want to, but they're being forced to change their car every 3 years or so. So you find that when you buy your electric car and it doesn't work for you, sure, it's fine. Just pay off your PCP finance at an easy interest rate of only 10%, and you too can have another new car in 3 years. So it will happen for sure. Which charge point is it? Is it an ESB ABL? You can upgrade the software to 7.4 kilowatt. Just get someone to swap the MCB on the boards for a 40. That's like speaking Swahili to me. It is an old ESB one. It says Electric Ireland on the front. It has an ESB written on the front of it as well, and it's plumbed straight into my circuit board outside. No idea if it's good or bad, but it was installed by ESB themselves, and it's charged at 3 kilowatts. And I only know that because of the Hyundai Kona. When I plugged it in, was only charged at 3.3 kilowatts, and I thought there was something wrong with the car because you can actually turn down how much electricity is coming into it in the Kona. So I checked everything and I found that the charge point only was at 3 kilowatts or 3.3 or something. Someone else said to me about the 7 kilowatt one as well, or something they could do, but I have no idea how to do that. I don't even know where to begin. Jared says, RE China, I was there in January. Most taxis are a BMW copy electric car. BYD range was amazing. On one trip it drove for 45 minutes and battery level dropped from 62 to 55. I think they have 400 kilometer range. See, that's kind of what happens as well. China just goes off and does its own thing, and they don't talk to anyone outside of China. They don't care. It's irrelevant to them because the market that they have is China. That's all they care about. They do care, of course, about other markets, but it's not their primary focus. Most of their market is for internal use. All the car companies, remember, it wasn't that long, 5-6 years ago, every launch I went to, there was a Chinese model car there. I remember going to the Audi Allroad launch. It must be 6 years ago now. The video's up on the channel. At the same launch was an Audi A8 hybrid. When I went to have a look at it, and I had a spin in it as well, your man said, look, that's really only for the Chinese and the US market. We're not ever going to bring that into Ireland. Anyway, that changed pretty fast. But you find that China, when they invest in something, so if they said tomorrow that they wanted to make more electric cars, they're going to build a factory, they just build it. They don't wait for permission. They don't do a cost analysis production thing, and we just make sure we employ the health and safety officer. They just build it, and if anyone gets in the way, just mow it over and build on top of it anyway. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but they move much faster than we do. They move at a much higher rate. They vibrate in a different space than we do. So it's that element that China very much won't wait for us to make up our mind what we're going to do. They're just going to be there. And you'll find that this is why a lot of the car companies won't take part in motor shows. Because at the next motor shows, it's going to be flooded with Chinese car brands. I bet you any money. And if it's not Chinese car brands, the car will be made in China and branded something over here, which is why they took shares. Why they say it's Volvo. Why they bought Saab. Why they bought into all kinds of... And the same Jaguar Land Rover, they bought in there as well. That's all by Indian, Chinese interests. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that a lot of these don't even notice. And we shouldn't notice because it's none of our bleeding business. Peter Dolan says Opel Corsa D changing light bulb involved interfering with the front bumper. Terrible design. Probably forced you to bring the expensive dealership mechanics to fix the basic item. Do you remember the Citroen Picasso? And to change the front bulb, you had to take the whole bumper off the front of the car. And not just the bumper, but the inner wing of the driver's side wheel had to come off as well. So you take the wheel off, jack it up, take off the inner roll wing, the mud protector, take off the front bumper, and then you could change a bulb. That was just a bloody bulb. Thanks, Citroen. I had to change one of them once. It took me, it's got to be 4 hours. 4 hours or so just to get at that. Again, we had to charge for time. 4 hours is a long time to be changing a bloody bulb. Anyway, BYD isn't a BMW company. BYD EVs predate BMWs. BYD was one of the largest EV manufacturers in the world. Warren Buffett is an investor. You can bet Warren Buffett's an investor in whatever makes money. The BYD E6 is also used in London as a taxi minicab. Brilliance are the partner of BMW in China. See how it all starts. Now you see, if you're watching, read that back to yourselves. Go back, Cross 13 at 3:31. Read what he was saying. This is all true stuff. So I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but you can see how it all starts to make sense. Why BMW is getting into the electric car, why they're rejigging how they do work and how they work in Europe. They bought into this, they bought into that. Brilliance has partnered with them, so they're working with them. There's all kinds of crossover. It's an incestuous business, actually, is what the car company's industry is. The whole lot of it. James Dunn, hi Bob. Did you ever notice that the Honda 2.2i N-Tech diesel engine oil never blackened when you services? The only engine I noticed regards during the bus driver. I didn't notice that. Why wouldn't it blacken? Engine would black as cooks, like engine oil actually technically that's what you're doing. You're slowly cooking the engine. But oil helps dissipate the heat. It also lubricates the friction elements of the car, so stops the friction going through the actual bare metal. So over time it should eventually blacken. It would depend on the engine oil that you're using and the circumstances you use it under, I suppose. Paul Hickey, great motorbike channel, the Messenden Flyer. He does a parish notes at the end of his version of the Sunday service. Lets you know what videos are on the way and what to look forward to. Two great channels. It's really good. I must check him out. I'm not a motorbike kind of person, but I do like other people's channels. I always think Irish people tend to hold each other back a lot instead of lifting each other up. So we don't mention our competition. We always kind of go, oh, they're competitors. Don't mention him on our channel. But I think they're all great. It's fine, sure. What's going to happen if you all move forward? It's always good. Move to NI as you can buy my 2006 diesel Fiesta, 30 quid a year. Oh my God, 30 quid a year for taxing a Fiesta up in Northern Ireland. I'm moving to Northern Ireland. Actually, on second thoughts, I don't want United Ireland. I want to move to Northern Ireland so I can sit over the border and giggle at all of you for paying too much tax because of our VRT system down here that none of you ever seem to want to really attack. James Dunn says Limerick just won the National Hurling League. Congratulations, Limerick. I was there the other day. I was there Friday. Yes, Friday. I was, in East Limerick. It was lovely. Bit of a marketing exercise. Not for me. I do marketing for companies. Deirdre Reynolds, hi all. My husband just had his car damaged by a prospective buyer. Oh no. Basically the test drove it and handed it back saying the daughter didn't like it, and after they went, the passenger side was all damaged. Oh my God. You can claim off their insurance. Okay, so what's probably happened, so if you have car insurance, you're insured to drive any car third party fire and theft, right? Now here's the problem with selling second-hand cars privately. So when you lend the keys to somebody else and you give them a loan of your car, who's insured and what are they insured for? So the driver is insured as long as they have insurance on their own car. For third party, that doesn't include your car though. Unfortunately, that third party is everyone else apart from your car. That's what third party literally means. So a third party accident. What could you do? You could go a small claims court and claim off them to say the damage wasn't there before they drove the car. You could go after them another way. It's going to be a difficult one. There really is. There's not a good way out of that one. The only wise advice I can give you on it in future, not you, but anyone else who's doing a test drive with somebody in their car, you're giving their car lend to somebody else, is always go with them. Dealerships do it all the time. They sit in the back of the car. Some lads just throw in the back of the car to cover all insurance. It's not for insurance. To make sure you're not being a complete tool bag with the car and driving like a lunatic. You should always go with the prospective buyers. It's just how things work. But unfortunately, there's not going to be a nice way to get out of that one. If there's damage all on the passenger side, you will have to go after a small claims court. It will come up as to why you gave them the keys of the car for a test drive and who was insured, and if they had insurance or not. They may have insurance, but if they didn't mention it when they came back, I doubt very much they got good insurance. I'd say they were just trying to get the hell out of there while it's still good. So unfortunately, I feel your pain. There's nothing worse. I've worked in dealerships where lads have come back off a test drive and the wheels are different on the car. You know, they took the alloys off and put on different wheels. I've had it all. So it's a sore lesson to learn, but it is a lesson that you will have to learn, unfortunately, I think, this time. Scarbon says Limerick wants Wallace to make a summer. Don't know what that means, but yeah, I know what you mean. I get what you're talking about. Thoughts on the 2019 Corolla, Bob? That's another one asking about the Corolla again. Looks okay. I haven't had it for a long drive. It's a hybrid system underneath. It's a Prius system underneath. So they know what they're doing with the hybrid engines. They are usually economical. The interior is pretty good. How long can PCP last? PCP is a 3-year plan. So you pay a deposit. You pay for 3 years. You pay monthly for 3 years. Then you pay a balloon payment at the end. They don't like me calling it a balloon payment, but it's a balloon payment. Okay. So at the end of the plan, you pay off a lump sum that means you own the car. You can also pay off the debt and refinance for another car. So you enter another PCP at the end of the PCP you're on. That's the common one. Or the third version is you just hand back the keys of the car. No balloon payment and no more payments to make, but you do lose the car. So that's PCP, 3 years. You can go to your local bank or credit union and get a 5-year car loan. It's unusual, but you can do that. You can also do what I very strongly advise you to do, which is save up 50% of the car's value, including your trade-in. So if you're looking for a 20 grand car and you got a car's worth 10, there's your 50%. If you got a car's worth 5, you need to save 5 to get 50%. Use the car as collateral along with the 5 grand as a deposit and get a full car loan from a bank or from a building society or from a credit union of the remainder that you need, and then buy the car that way. It's the best way out because you own more of it. Paul O'Connor answers Deirdre Reynolds and her damaged test car. That's terrible, but she should have gone with him on a test drive. They may have caused other damage to another car, etc. You may be liable. It's true, you know, they may have hit another car. I don't think you will be liable. I doubt it. It'd be the person who's driving. If you weren't in the car, your husband wasn't in the car at the time, I don't think you'll be held liable. I think the person who was driving the car will be held liable. It essentially amounts to stealing the car and damaging it on purpose. Even though they have permission to drive it, they still have to have insurance. You have to make sure people have insurance. People will turn up to test drive your car and just rock in and go, Jimmy there wants to go on it. Oh yeah, sure, Jimmy, jump in there. You look old enough to have insurance. The guy hasn't got a bleeding license. It can happen a lot. You can, as Brian Morrissey suggests there, call the Gardaí and report it to them. You would have to note the person's name and address. They contact you. They must have phoned you at some point. There's always a way. Gardaí would have to get involved in that one. If you're not answering the phone to you, either someone will have camera footage of it or whatever. There has to be a way out of that that's going to make sense for you. It might be small damage, it could be big damage, who knows. You're trying to get rid of the car, that's the problem. Sean Smith says the Renault Megane 2 and the Modus nightmare change. Modus, yeah, bloody hell. Even the back lights on a Modus were an awful pain in the hole to change the bulbs on. I did that, said it was a civil matter. Well, it's not. It's a criminal matter. If they took the car and they hit some other car with it and there's damage done to both cars, it's actually a criminal matter then, because that's a driving away incident. They drove off from the scene of a crime. If you crash your car into a wall and you drive off, you're driving away from the scene of a crime, a non-reported crime. So there has been a crime committed. There has been unlawful damage done to your car, and you would have to quote certain sections from the Road Traffic Act. They're definitely look up the Road Traffic Act. You will find it. You must stay at the scene of an accident, a scene of a collision, not accident. There's no such thing as an accident. You have to stay at the scene of a collision. And you have to make a formal report at the scene of a collision, whether it be to an insurance company or not. Doing damage to anybody's property, and then leaving that property and walking away from it is a criminal matter, not a civil matter. It's a different thing. So you need to go back to your Gardaí. They don't know what you're talking about. So that's how that one works. Gardaí will do anything to get rid of you rather than have to do anything. But they can be invested as a criminal matter. They may have done this multiple times. You must remember, they may have called around to other people to test drive their cars and damaged all of them cars as well. So there may be more to it. Bob, on the Sunday service last year, you said that the Korean car companies have buff plans for electric vehicles on the horizon. Are they still on the horizon? They are. Well, they're coming to fruition now with the Kona, Kia Niro, and so on. But there is more. You have to remember that the Korean car companies, particularly Hyundai and Kia, have very, very deep pockets. They have a lot of money and they have a lot of supply things going on out there as well. SsangYong is also Korean, but they don't have the deep pockets of the other ones. They are shifting an inordinate amount of cars generally, which gives them deep pockets and the ability to be able to go after the market as they see fit and actually manipulate the market in the background. So it's entirely possible that they are going to continue doing electric cars. The biggest problem that I foresee for all car companies is the supply of batteries. It's just getting enough batteries to put them into the cars. Even if they make their own bloody batteries, is getting enough of the things to do it. I mean, even if they're not outsourcing, getting some other company to pull them out of the ground, it's still hard to get batteries for them. Actually, Cross makes that point next. Well, Hyundai Kia has great products. They're running the factories all out, but they have battery supply for barely more than 50,000 cars this year. So, because everybody wants electric cars, see, it's 2% of the market. So everybody wants batteries, and nobody seems to be terribly prepared for it. Lots of Deirdre Reynolds, why didn't you go with them? People ask to go on their own, and it's very easy to make the mistake. It's a tough lesson to learn. Let's not worry about who did what to who. Let's worry about how can we solve the problem for Deirdre. The legal recourse, or is there some way we can get this done for? It's very unlikely, but again, you'd have to start with a Garda report, an actual proper Garda report, time in, time out, details, contact details, who they were, where they came from, who they were connected with, and what they hit is going to be another thing as well. What exactly was clattered into, whether it be a wall or it's another car or a human being. Something they hit something. They didn't just stand there kicking it outside your door. For context, says Cross, the battery supply to the entire Hyundai Kia group is around 8% of what Tesla has available for production this year. It's crazy, isn't it? Oh my God. We've only a phone number and held our keys as security. They seem genuine people. Says Deirdre, you did all the right things. It just didn't quite work out in the end as being a good thing. It can happen. It can be an awful... Look, it upsets your day. It's not the worst possible thing that could have happened. They could have fecked off with your car entirely. But at the same time, the guards, honest to God, will have to help you on this one. They will have to do something for you. There has been a criminal incident, possible damage to another car, possible damage to another human being, or to something. They've hit something. And so there may actually be criminal charges that have to be brought against them. And there was a scene of a collision that they drove off from. So you will have to deal with that as well. I wouldn't post a phone number online or any details of them online. Just remember that. I wouldn't go off looking that way. But at the same time, no harm doing a Facebook search. See if someone turns up. Their face turns up. Don't mean put their name and address in there on Facebook and see what happens. I mean, just go to Facebook and search for their name. Andy McAfee says been several publicly reported cases in NI and GBA police officers suing personal injury owners of cars after their car was stolen and they sustained injuries while chasing it. Mega insult to injury is true. As they get money off owners' own insurance policy sort of thing. Despite being stolen, not being driven by the policyholder, policy on the vehicle still has liability. It is, yeah. Depends on what's insured. In Ireland, the person is insured to drive the car, not the car. In New Zealand, the car is insured. So it doesn't matter who drives, as long as they have a driver's license, they're insured. In Ireland, we insure the driver, not the car. So it's a kind of a weird thing, the way it works out. But realistically, if I'm not in the car, I'm not paying insurance on it. That's how it works. So someone takes the car outside, my car outside the door, and they have insurance, it's automatically on their insurance. But that only matters if they've hit something that's claiming off insurance. It claims off their insurance, not mine. Sorry, I meant when the idea of the PCP market crashes here or is next year, next 50 years. Oh, it's here to stay. Shane says it is probably here to stay. PCP was never meant for the short term. And now there's so much money invested in it that's very unlikely they're going to stop doing it unless it actually completely crashes and falls and burns. It's a different story. If everybody on PCP stopped paying their PCP tomorrow, I reckon Ireland would just drag to a complete another standstill because there's so much out there on PCP at the moment. Ask a Boy Racer is that aka Boy Racer, says, is there enough lithium in the world to make enough electric cars in the future to sustain the world demand for electric cars to succeed? Lithium is an incredibly common compound. We're using less and less of it in the cars as we replace some of it with aluminium and many other kind of chemicals that make up an actual battery pack. Now, the longevity of a battery pack is different entirely. As we discussed earlier, older generation Leafs are coming back with like the 12 or 13 lines that are there, supposed to be how many miles it's able to do on a full charge, and it's already losing some of it only at 4 years old. So it's an oddball sort of thing that we have these cars that as they get older have less range, which is very strange. But definitely there is enough really common lithium, really common, and we're researching new technologies as well, new ways of doing things. Remember, battery technology is still fairly young, even though it's been around for years and years and years. We didn't really invest any time or effort in researching any of it until the last 6 years, 7 years, maybe 10 years at most. So it's very odd what we're doing right now. We're in a huge time of flux. Cross says the lithium is even in seawater. We have plenty of lithium carbonate in Ireland. Kyle Menzies says, I don't know about the Irish or English law, but I doubt that courts would allow police to recover from the owner unless they are very negligent in allowing it to be stolen. Technically, I suppose you could argue the case that it was technically allowed to be stolen. You handed the keys over to a stranger and they went off for driving their car and it came back damaged. So technically it's your fault, I suppose, for handing over the keys to a stranger. But that's just that's a arguing the case. The logic here suggests that you were selling a car, someone came to have a look at it, as common, they wanted to go for a test drive in it, they went for a test drive, they damaged the car, they came back and just handed the keys back and drove off, and never mentioned it. So technically they've left the scene of a crime by crashing into something else. Depends on the level of damage, obviously. If it's just a couple of scratches on the side, maybe they only scratched it up against a hedge or something, but it could be indeed very bad damage as well. Lithium can be recycled, that's true, and it's only 2% of the battery by weight. Okay. Shane says, indeed, the day PCP stopped, something of significantly more concern has happened. It's true. The day the PCP died, I know, it won't die, I don't think. Graphite is actually a bigger supply issue due to lack of processing capacity. I don't know anything about graphite or how you process it, in fairness. Kyle Menzies says, how about instead of batteries we use inductive charging built into roads? That won't work. The amount of energy required to do induction charging is actually really high. If you ever notice, if you put your wireless phone down on top of the wireless charger inside of any car at the moment, you take up your phone and it's roasting. I mean, really hot. And unless you specifically put the phone right down perfectly on top of the induction charger, it doesn't charge. And first of all, one you recognize it's there. Imagine what that is like, but you're doing it at 120 kilometers an hour. That's where it becomes into a problem. So induction charging probably is gigantically expensive money, but maybe in 50 years we might start doing that. I mean, think about the tram lines where you have the electric units above the road on wires. Like I saw in Athens the other day, they've had them for generations. That's a way of running buses on electrics without having to do anything to the roads. You just put the wires. That's all. They look a bit messy, though, I think. Normally comes with simple break-ins for a house, breaking into steal keys and everything. My God. Shane says it's totally inviable at present. That's induction charging, I think. Brian says 1605, Bob. The F1 is on Sky 1. New Ferrari driver Charles Leclerc is on pole position, but you're busy filming. Record it. I only watch a little bit of Formula 1 out of Carmi usually, but yeah, we are coming towards the end of it, mind you. Still over 70 if he's watching at this very moment. The Leaf is a special case for battery degradation because it's not a temperature controlled pack. Yeah, I suppose, that's the thing. That doesn't help when the batteries are always hot and warm and stuff. And he says, I'd report a test drive damage to the guards. If the owner has another car down the road, tracks you down, it becomes what happens, not risking of accused of causing failing to remain, report on top. Hydrogen seems a better solution in my opinion, aka BioRester says. It's not very good, unfortunately. Hydrogen is not very good. It's not very fuel efficient as hydrogen yet, but again, we still haven't invested a hell of a lot of money in hydrogen. Toyota have. They've invested in Mirai or whatever that thing is called. It's a hydrogen powered car. I had a little quick spin in that in Dublin once. One time it was just happened to be in Toyota when it was there. So we had a little quick go. Unfortunately, says Deirdre Reynolds, Bob, both doors, sills and rear quarter are severely dented and scratched. Looks like they lost control and swung into something on a 2013 Hyundai i30. Look at Deirdre, the thing is, what did they hit? Someone else out there has some damage done to their car. That is a crime. That is a driving off in the scene of a crime. So it's gone from civil to criminal. So you really got to follow that up with the Gardaí as to what they've actually hit and what's after happening, what the test route was, and do your best to track the person down. You know, it really is something you're going to take up and run with and get legal advice. Maybe give a solicitor £100 and talk to them about what can be done here. Is there a way that you can get that money back off them? Solicitors are really cheap these days, boys. You know, that's just the way it is. They're not expensive anymore. There's so many of them. Negotiate. They will negotiate. Anyway, it is now 4 p.m. It has been a beautiful 2 hours. Thank you very much for your support on the channel and watching as you do every Sunday. I will hopefully return next Sunday with another Sunday service. You can join me here at the same time. Between now and then, there's an absolute jock load of cars to go out and review. Definitely coming up in the next 24 hours is the Range Rover Evoque video from Greece, which is more of a film than a video. Very in-depth, very nicely filmed because I got a crew to work me out there, which is quite nice. But it's a great movie that you'll be able to see tomorrow. And then during the week we'll see the Skoda Scala. You can find me on Instagram. If you go over there, you will find the Instagram stories from the Skoda Scala trip over in Croatia, which will be this Wednesday and Thursday, I think, or Tuesday and Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday and Thursday actually this week. So you'll find me out there doing that. If you're out in Croatia, say hi, like the lads did in Greece. It'll be very good to have you there. Hopefully you have enjoyed this whole thing. I know so many of you have watched this right up to this very moment. I'd love to have you back for next week, so make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you can support the channel financially, there is PayPal, Patreon, and of course Super Chat here on YouTube. But Patreon and PayPal are the primary ones, as offline it works best. But any support is always welcome. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please look after yourselves and one another. Until the next time, I will see you on the